Flosstube. My name is Becca and I'm SamBrie Stitches here on Flosstube and Instagram. And this is another special edition of Interview with a Flosstuber. I'm very excited today. I had a secret secretary that reached out to Karen and Bren, who are the amazing duo behind Fox and Rabbit. Not only do they stitch, and they stitch their own patterns, but they stitch other people's too. They dye beautiful fabrics, and they also design amazing cross stitch patterns. I don't know how they have any time in the day to do anything else. But I'll be linking all their information down below, so you can go check out everything. And so what I'm gonna do now before we jump into questions and just have you guys tell a little bit more about yourselves and like the history behind Fox and Rabbit, if you don't mind.
You can go first.
Oh, me, okay.
Yep.
I knew I'd go first.
Ladies first.
Yes, I talk. Okay, well, so our backgrounds are actually not in the needlework industry originally. After I finished a visual arts degree at university, I went on to work in TV and radio doing audio. I was an audio engineer. And that's where I met Brendan in the early 90s. He was an accountant at the radio station that I worked at. So both of our backgrounds are very different to what they are. Our careers are different to what they are today. But and we got married in 1995. And then after a while, I was just tired. I was traveling a bit from radio station to radio station. Brendan was actually by that stage installing accounting systems in different businesses. So we were living pretty busy lives, and we thought we can't just keep missing each other at airports and stuff. So we set up back in 2000, the end of 2000, we were starting to think, what could we do? And the internet was becoming a thing. Hard to believe now that this new and Brendan suggested that I start, or he does, a website for me, and we start a needle, because I was a needle worker, and why don't we start a needlework shop? So I didn't have a clue really what the internet was. I kind of vaguely knew about Yahoo groups and things that I was in. But fast forward to about June of 2001, we launched what was Dragonfly Dreams then. Now is Linen and Threads. Oh, then is Linen and Threads now. And I just remember sitting at work, and when the first orders just started coming in, I was like, what? And within about, 2 months, do you think? Yeah. I had to leave my job and do it full time. So it took off. I think it was the first online needlework shop in Australia, I think, for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And then, so that just took off. We then moved up to the Blue Mountains. Bren was still working in IT. And when we got to the Blue Mountains, we decided to open a bricks and mortar store, which I ran for about 12 years. About 12 years, I think. And then
I helped you for the first year.
Yeah, Brent helped me. He left the industry, helped me for about the first year, and then he went back to work, and I just continued to run the shop. Then 4 years ago, we decided to leave the Blue Mountains. So we closed down the bricks and mortar store, and we moved up here to the Central Coast and decided to just do it online. Because by that stage, I was starting to do some designs. Brendan was dyeing fabric for our shop, which is all you were,
and for retreats,
and stuff that we were running and do run. And so it was just getting busy, and I was actually enjoying the designing side more and more. And so about 4 years ago, we decided to do Nashville Market, just put our foot in the water and see how we went. And we did really well. And it's just grown and grown and grown. Then Brendan started getting, I think it was it year before last, we had our lovely friend Paulette Stewart from Plum Street over here for a retreat. And she said, she saw our linens, said, listen, we've got market coming up next year. Could I get a couple of these pieces and design something on them? Oh. And we were like, okay, right. And because as I said, at that stage, Brent was still only doing a lot, but he was only doing it exclusively for the shop. So we didn't think anyone would even be all that interested. Well, she did, I think it was a shepherd's song and the little stack with the reindeers, and went crazy. So we thought, well, we might just take some fabrics to market with us back in 2020 or 2019. I can't think, but and so we took some linen with us, not, I don't know, maybe 50 yards. I don't know, wasn't much. Sold out in 2 seconds. And we're like, oh, wow. And then Hoffman, who is our distributor, came and said, look, I'm interested in also doing your linens. Would you be able to, could we distribute your linens as well? And we thought, well, if designers are going to start using them, then we need a distributor over there. So that all happened, and in the last probably 18 months, it's just exploded. So in early January of this year, at the urging of Tanya, from our other friend Tanya from the Scarlet House, Brendan decided to also take the plunge and do it full time. So, and we haven't looked back. It's just
can't keep up.
Yeah. So now it's at the point where, I have to start thinking about what I'll do with linen threads, because I can't keep doing 2 full-time jobs, because it's just full time now. So we need more time for designing now. We need more time for design. And Brent hasn't looked back, have you, Brent? It's been like 8 months since you left your full. So he was doing it part-time. Yeah. Like he was doing it at night and on weekends. So he was really doing it full-time for about 18 months. So we've had Fox and Rabbit now for 3 years. Probably 2 years, wholesaling and everything, but 3 years since we started it, really. So, yeah, and it's just growing, which is it. It's just, and then, it's, that's basically it. That's your background. What's your background, Brendan? You want to just tell a little bit about what you used to do?
Well, you've already really described it. Yeah. So I'm an IT nerd and an accountant by trade. So, but I didn't particularly like IT. So I used to implement high-end accounting systems. So go through and install them and work on multi-year projects. And then I moved into sales, into selling them. So I'm glad to be out of that now. Now all I do is go out the back and turn white fabric into coloured fabric.
Beautiful coloured fabric.
Fielding calls to come back every day, which is good. He's being very humble, but he's very, very good at what he does in that industry. But he hates it.
I hate it,
and always has done. And it's great money, and it's great. It's good to know he's got that to fall back on. God forbid this all falls in a heap, which I don't think it's going to do. But you're so happy to be out of it, aren't you?
Yeah, but they're offering some ridiculous.
They're offering crazy money to get him to go back, and he's like, no. And what about part-time? It's like, there's no part-time. You're out the back until midnight dyeing every day. We're just praying for the summer months to come so Brent can get daylight savings and have more drying time on the line. There's no way he's doing
it. Oh my gosh. That sounds like a fairy tale story, basically, of how it all came about. That's amazing.
We've had some support from some really good friends.
Amazing
that
friends
us and encouraged us.
Yeah.
So we've been lucky.
Yeah. Paulette and Tanya particularly have just been, and Tanya's used our linens on her designs. Paulette continues, and now there's a lot, where we've got to get a lot of linen out to a lot of our designer friends who have been asking for it, which we will do. We've just been madly trying to get all those shop orders. We distribute through Hoffman, but also too they're buying directly from us now, which is lovely. So a lot of the shops are buying direct.
Yeah.
So so
that's about the middleman for sure. Have you guys been able to keep up on everything with all the supply constraints and everything that everybody's been undergoing? Did you have enough to kind of stay afloat? Sounds like you've been busy.
It's ongoing. The problem's getting linen.
Yeah.
So we thought we had it sorted with Zweigart until last month.
Yeah.
And then they've let us down a bit, actually. Really let us down.
Well, they basically said to us about 18 months ago, to guarantee supply, you can commit to your own production runs. You'll have 12 months to take it up, draw down on that production run. But at the end of the 12 months, you have to take whatever's left if there is anything. We took the plunge and did that at the beginning of this year. But what we thought would be enough for a year has basically run out now.
It ran out in 4 months.
I was going to say in just sort of late May. And so Brendan doubled it for another production run. That's basically of 40 count, 36 count, and 32. The others, we kind of 28 and Ada and stuff we're going, and 46, we sort of just buy from their usual production runs. Okay. That's growing too, so we're probably going to have to increase those. But the production runs that she promised us that they would be doing just for us have gone in behind their other ones, and they're now saying September, and Brendan was having heated discussions last night. And we just said, well, look, if you've got to be able to supply. Well, we've got a lot coming. I think you've got 1,500 yards of 40 count that's already been done for us, thankfully. Okay. And we've got enough to get us through Expo, but we need it ongoing. So we're leaving it with them at the moment. But optimistically, they should be getting our production runs done for us. It's just nice to know once our production runs are done, they're sitting on the shelves over there and we can draw down from them whenever we want. We don't have to worry about, can we get some from that particular production run that they're doing generically. So,
well, the biggest problem is they're only now manufacturing orders from April.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I've been seeing with a lot of other dyers and stuff, especially with Fabric of the Month clubs. You know, they're running out of fabric, not being able to get it, and, you know, having to wait a few months in order to get, you know, your one from 3 months ago. So, I mean, supply is pretty
April, so 5 months behind in production. So
we're actually planning on.
They just can't catch up, and I can't see how they're ever going to catch up.
Yeah,
unless it drops off.
Well, see, they basically are worried because they think that they can put more staff on and buy another machine, which is a big investment. But I think they worry that what if this all drops back to normal?
Well, they put,
but it's not going to drop back to normal anytime soon. Like this is here to stay, I think.
They put 2 new mills in
at the end of last year.
At the beginning of this year, they put 2 new mills in. They're working 3 shifts, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Just trying to catch up. That's impressive.
It's like everything. Like, I mean, we were worried about putting this massive order in too. Like, what happens if it is all? And we have to take that at the end of the next 12 months. But you just got to roll the dice, and they've got to do the same thing. It's crazy. I don't. You know, I can't see supply and demand dropping off this ever. So, but you know, as Brendan said, it's almost a. What'd you say? It's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, I mean, if they don't get the extra machines and put the other staff on, people will look elsewhere for different linen. And, you know, we're at the point where we're looking around because we think, well, we're going to have to just have guaranteed supply. Like, we want to do fabric clubs next year as well. Now, if they get these production runs done for us by the end of the year, we can absolutely do that.
Not by the end of the year. We want the production runs done in the next month.
Oh, yeah, no, but I'm just saying we want to start the fabric clubs by the start of next year.
Yeah.
So as long as our production runs are done before the end of this year, we can launch those next year because we know we have enough in those production runs we've ordered to cover fabric clubs as well as shop orders, as well as designer orders. Because we sort of supply a lot of designers for retreats as well and things like that. So it all just depends upon these production runs we've ordered getting into production, basically. Yeah. Scary though. It's really scary.
It's nerve-wracking to, you know, have put your hopes and your everything into, you know, getting orders so that you can fulfill everything. So yeah.
But it's scary when you send that purchase order in and then you convert the euro back to Australian dollars and you think, holy hell.
There's our commitment for 12 months. Let's hope they keep liking our fabric.
Oh geez. Oh yeah, you guys are not going anywhere. I think also the needleworking community has grown and become more prominent, especially in the last couple of years. But I mean, you know, with all the communities that we have, I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. So
something last night about quilting stores.
Yeah, quilting stores are now starting to switch over and stocking cross stitch. So because quilting has been on a decline for a while.
Yep.
So they're actually
never go away, but
they're actually starting to see that, you know, cross stitch is booming and they're starting to move into that. We've had lots of inquiries from quilt stores and looking at expanding their range.
That is amazing. That's great to hear. So
ironically enough, when we were in the States last year, we called in, one of my favorite places was Winterset in Iowa. We went and saw the covered bridges of Madison County and we called into a little, because I'm a quilter as well, and we called into a quilt shop. And ironically enough, they contacted, I said, Brendan said, that's that little place in Winterset. I said, no way. Are they going to be stocking our linen? So that was a bit surreal. Oh, it was a big shop. Sorry, a big shop in a little town. It was just, you know, what?
That's so neat. That's almost surreal.
Beautiful patchwork shop, but Clark's Crafts in Winterset, Iowa. Yeah, so that was a little bit of a, you know, sliding doors moment. I was like, oh wow, we were already in that shop.
Love it.
18 months ago now. Oh, I want to go to the States again so bad.
I love to hear that quilt shops are going to start carrying stitching stuff. That's great news, because there seems to be a lot of quilt shops and not very many needlework shops. So,
quilting is a little bit probably that. Well, yeah, depends who you listen to. It's supposed to be on the decline a little bit. Quilting's still huge. It's huge here.
I just
we have
dip my
10
toes
quilt shops for every needlework shop here. Sorry.
I said I just dipped my toes into the quilting. I started cutting my little 5-inch squares. It's my first one.
Very addictive. I'm telling you, you go down that rabbit hole. They got to tell you that collecting the fabrics is part of the addiction. That's a whole different.
Well, that's a whole different thing for you.
That's a whole different room of this house. Exactly. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
my problem is I like the idea of balancing both. So, you know, have a couple of nights doing patchwork. I like to do a lot of hand applique and other nights stitching. But my problem is I tend to be focused on one thing at a time. So if I start doing some applique, I'm not going to want to pick the stitching up and vice versa. So I'm not.
That's what I'm discovering is because I'm basically a stitcher, but now I've started wool applique and I'm doing the quilting, a bit of diamond painting. It's like, how do you balance it all is my problem. I don't want one to fall off, you know, my stitching. So
I know. If you find out, let me know because I can't balance
You're going to have to have a rotation. Mondays you do this, and Tuesdays
but you don't want to. Once you start doing something, I'm like, I don't want to do that tonight. I want to do that.
Yep. Exactly.
And you joke, you're on to different things every 5 minutes. Brendan's like, a new hobby. That one's all new shiny. I'm going to go and do that. So
that's like the cricket machine I just bought.
Brendan's just bought a cricket machine.
Oh, so cool. Those are a lot of fun. I don't have that yet, but my friends do. So.
Yeah, but I won't open the box because I know if I open the box.
Yeah, I said that stock box is not being opened until all these shop orders are in the mail, which will be out tomorrow. So I said, then on the weekend, you can open it and have fun. So, because we've got a week till Expo, so you can play with your cricket machine in the week leading up to Expo. While I'm madly finishing our last model.
Oh, so, yeah. How exciting. Well, it'll be fun to come up with your cricket too. So
yeah, we'll show that in the floss tubes, I'm sure.
Well, it depends. Depends if it looks any good, whatever's made with it. If it looks like rubbish, I'm not going to show it.
Oh, he's got plans. We want to get we'd like to find an illustrator. So if anyone knows anybody out there to do like a fox and a rabbit for us and do like in clothing, we just want to try to find a really cool kind of, not logo because we've got a logo, but just a nice sort of artwork that we can put on a t-shirt, we can put on, you know, just things in general. So his idea is that once he works it all out, and once we've got a design done, we've just got to find somebody that you'll put it on like t-shirts and stickers and all sorts of stuff that we can send out with orders. We can send stickers out with orders and things like that. So that's a bit of fun. Yeah, something fun to keep him occupied in lockdown when he's not dyeing fabrics. So
yeah, you can make your own stickers with the cricket, I believe. So that'll be good. Yeah. Keep
I'm a sticker hole. I love stickers, so he can start.
And transfers for shirts and stuff. I've been watching all the YouTube videos.
Yep.
Going down that rabbit hole.
So then I said, what are you watching? Oh, it's another cricket. I'm like, another cricket? But how many cricket videos are there out there?
There's more cricket videos than
anything else.
Flosstubes, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Cricket tube, floss tube, book tube, why not?
And then I think the next thing he wants is a laser cutter. So that'll be the next thing.
Oh, that'll be cool too. Like needle motors or something like that.
And because we get a lot of things done now. We have a corner gauge that we have done for us. A friend's got they have quite a big laser business here. But just to do our own stuff at home, just things like thread cards when we're kitting things up and things like that are just so much easier when we can do them in-house. Yep. Seeing as we're going to be stuck at home for the foreseeable future, it's like we might as well be productive. So
why not? Why not?
And Brendan is a gadget boy. If you know nothing else about Brendan, it's the new gadget on the market. So even though he's not in IT, he has every IT gadget there is known to man.
Gadgets and Bigfoot.
Gadgets and Bigfoot, yeah.
As we were talking about that before, we're both Bigfoot fans. So that was pretty that made my night right there. So that was pretty neat. All right, well, let's jump into the questions now. The first one, why did you start a floss tube and were there any particular motivations?
Well, I started because I was told I had to.
I've heard that before, actually.
Yeah.
I said, we've got to do this thing. Why don't we have a go at doing this thing? I said, we're sort of using social media to get our message out. And it's because we're in Australia. We can't just, we're on the other side of the world. We need to be able to reach people quickly and show them things more immediate than, we can show people things we're working on rather than just wait until they're released. And years ago, I didn't even know what Flosstube was until a few years ago. And then we met at a Mirabilia retreat that we ran where we had Nora Corbett out here. We had a whole bunch of Flosstubers come. They were at their own table and they interviewed Nora, and it was a fun weekend. Excuse me. And I sort of said at the time, oh, that's something interesting. So I was thinking from a shop point of view, I wonder if that's something we could do for linen and threads. And I was kind of told rather sternly that no, this is just for stitches. It's not for shops or anything else. So I thought, oh, okay. And I didn't really investigate Flosstube much more after that. And then in the last few years, we were starting to meet Flosstubers coming to Nashville Market. Some fabulous, I think Addie from Top Knot, we met her, and then I started to understand what Floss, and more Flosstubers were coming to market, and they were designing as well, so they were there. And then I started to watch a few, and then we realised that designers were doing Flosstube, shops were doing Flosstube, of course, stitches everywhere were doing Flosstube, and I thought, wow, this doesn't have to be what I was told it was. I didn't want to offend anyone. You know, when I was told, no, it's not for shops. Okay, yeah. I was worried if we did it, half the world would be offended that we had So then I started to watch them. And then as I'm up until 2 a.m, serging linens and stuff, I needed to think, I think I've watched everything on Netflix on my iPad. So I just started watching Flosstubes over and over. And it was like, oh, totally addicted to this. And I said to Bren probably about 6 months ago, we really should do this, honestly. Like, I mean, it's the best way. I said we can also show that it doesn't have to be all about us. We'll show them other things we're stitching by other people because we love other people's designs. And let's just have some fun. So Brendan is he's a lot of wonderful traits, but procrastination is probably the one thing, if I had to name, he's the only flaw I can find with him. And it was put off and put off and put off. And I said, well, listen, I have no idea how to do this. I can't film it. I can't edit it. I could if I had to learn, but I just don't want to. So I said, let's just do it. So we had 5, and then we said, listen, we're going on holidays. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? We actually, when Nashville Market was postponed this year to, well, it was originally going to be in May. We had our friends booked to come and mind the dogs at the house. And when it was, cancelled until back to March next year, we thought, let's just have a holiday. We are so tired. So we went up to Queensland for a 2-week holiday. Who would have known that the minute we got back, everything went into lockdown? I can't believe we managed to get that 2-week holiday in, can you? Yeah. It's just, looking back now with what's happened since, we are stunned that we got that holiday in. But we thought, you know what? I said to Bren, why don't we take everything with us and we'll film it when we're relaxed up in Port Douglas. It'll be fun. And then we can decide if we want to do this.
After a few drinks.
After we thought we'll have a few margaritas and we'll do this thing.
Yeah.
Because I talk a lot, but I'm inherently quite shy. Brendan's shy as well. So I talk a lot to get over shyness. Brendan says nothing in his shyness. So I thought, how are we going to do this thing? Because public speaking, you asked me, my biggest fear in life would be public speaking. And whereas my dad, I didn't inherit that gene from my dad. My dad will talk at a public event every day of the week. But so we didn't have the drinks, but we thought, let's just do it. And we had fun with that first one. We really did. We thought, are we having fun because we're on holidays? And no, we've got our 6th one to film this Sunday, and it's been so much fun.
I could go and buy more things as well. So I had to buy the lights, and then I had to had to buy a new camera.
He's like, well, we need a microphone and we need lights and we've got to go and buy this. And it was all the gadgets coming into the house again. And I said, you can edit these things, Brent, because we're going to be making mistakes all the way through. And we are, and I'm amazed, actually, Brent's really enjoying it as much as I am. So it's just so much fun. And when we
some days we're enjoying it when we forget to turn the camera on. And
one day we filmed it 4 times. 4 times. And in the end, we were ready to murder each other. It was like midnight. And we were like, I can't do it again. I said, we've got to do it again because I'm not doing it in the morning.
We went to McDonald's.
To have dinner. It was before the lockdown. And we thought, right, let's go and get a Big Mac at midnight, come back and go again. And then we did it for that last time. Bren realised he hadn't turned the microphone on, the actual microphone he bought, but thankfully the one on the computer recorded it because I was about ready to kill him. And I thought he was going to have a nervous breakdown when he said that the microphone wasn't on. I said, oh, yeah, of course you're joking. And he said, I'm serious, it wasn't on. I said, did the computer record it? And he said, I don't know. And it did. thankfully, because he kept saying, well, do it again in the morning. I said, I'm not doing it in the morning. I'm not doing it in the morning. I said, no. I said, I almost know this thing off by heart now. We were repeating ourselves over and over. Oh, my goodness. So that's our big disaster. But we're getting a bit more comfortable now. Like, I'm sure you know what it's like. It's like initially you're kind of thinking, what do I need to talk about next? What's next? What's next? And you're trying to think ahead of yourself rather than just be natural. And I found, I think in our last one, that we're starting just to chat more, like be more us. So hopefully that'll get better as we go on. Do you think?
Well, it can't get any worse.
Yeah, well, that's what we figured too. Our big aim was just to hit 1,000, because everyone, all our Flosstube friends say, like I know Michelle Benny has like an over 1,000 subscribers, because she tries to get people over that 1,000. Because from what I understand, like things are a little easier with YouTube once you get to 1,000. And we thought, well, hopefully by the end of the year we might get to 1,000. And because Brent said then we can pick our own name or whatever. I don't know how it all works. And we hit 1,000 on our way down from Port Douglas. We were just like, yeah. And I said, well, I'll do a design for when we hit 1,000. And that happened before we got home. Mm. So I had to quickly, madly do a design by that Sunday when we got home, because I thought, oh my goodness. Now we're closing it on 6, I think. Yeah. And I can't believe that 6,000 people, well, even more, watch it, are wanting to watch Brent and I. I get it with other people, because I'm waiting till Brenda and Laura come up, or Julie from Kansas City. I can't wait till they Carol Saltbox Stitch. I can't wait. I'm like, there's all those ones that you're just hanging on coming. It's amazing to me when we see that people are already starting to watch ours when they get uploaded. It's like, who wants to watch us?
We're not that interesting.
We're not that interesting. Yeah.
Maybe it's just the accents.
Maybe it's the accents.
The accents are horrible.
So that's why we did Flosstube, and we're just so happy we did.
Maybe they would just feel sorry for us.
What for?
I don't know.
I don't know either. They probably do. They're silly Aussies trying to do this thing. Yeah, so no, it's a lot of fun.
Many people. Yeah. I enjoy your channel. I like that you show your stuff and like your fabrics and stuff, but then you also show that you're stitching, other people's patterns and stuff like that too, which is really neat. So it kind of shows, you're interested in a lot of things, which is enjoyable, because there are some channels, it's just they focus on like their shop and their products and stuff like that, and that's fine. But I think it's interesting, and I think people enjoy that, quite a bit.
Well, that's what I said to Brett. I said, if we're going to do this thing, it needs to be about our stitching life as well, not just our business. I don't want to do a business Flosstube, because I get a little bit bored with that too.
It'd be boring. It'd be the same thing every Flosstube otherwise.
Yeah, we've just got this product. And as you said, that's great, but it's not what we kind of wanted to do. And I said, plus we're all about other people's designs. It's great to design our own, but we want to stitch other people's. Like, I mean,
our stuff's boring.
It's not, well,
it is for us.
When you've been sitting there and designing it for such a long time, and we actually have, we tend to send most of our stuff out to our model stitches. But you want to then put that to let that be in somebody else's stitching hands and get back to doing what I want. I want to stitch a Plum Street. I want to stitch a Scala House. I want to stitch something, we're doing the cryptid sale at the moment, Now I can't wait for Expo to be over so I can get back to that and get my border finished. Brendan has to start.
I've dyed the fabric.
He's dyed the fabric. That's a start, believe me.
Procrastination thing.
It is, I'm telling you. Look up procrastination in the diary. Brendan's face will be there emblazoned on the page.
It's not procrastination this time. I just don't have time.
No, you have got time. It's true. He's actually really keen to start that one. Yeah. So
I'm really waiting to see what the cryptids that are going to be on it are. Whether they're going to be
before I start stitching the borders, I'm waiting to see I'm excited to see what there is. I'm sure there'll be Bigfoot on there for sure. There has to be. So
I want Mothman on there. Everyone forgets Mothman.
You're the only one that likes Mothman.
Then Robert from Robert's Palace of Stitches. I think he's the other one. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get on to the next question. And this one is just a viewer question. And they were just wondering if you had a blog of any sort.
Actually, I'm about to start one. I love blogging. Well, obviously blogging was huge years ago, and then it seemed to be taken over by Facebook and everything. But Brenda's actually making me a blog now. I don't think Brenda will do one.
It's already set up on the website.
It's all set up. I've just got to start it. I want to just get Expo out of the way, and then I want to start getting that. I want to do it like a blog come journal type thing, because I actually really really love other people's blogs, so I absolutely will be. So we'll let everyone know what that link is, and once we,
Well, it'll be on the Fox and Rabbit.
it'll be on our Fox and Rabbit website once I get that going. Brent set it up for me, but there's no point looking at the moment because I haven't started doing anything. So yeah, there will be one. Yeah, and I'm going to try to do a daily journal entry if I can. That's the aim, Becca. I don't know. I make a lot of I will do's, and it might be a once a week. I don't know, but I'm going to try to do it. I've always loved diaries and journaling and things when I was young, and so the idea of doing an online blog is appealing.
I don't know if I like daily one because it's all going to be Brendan did this, Brendan did that.
Uh-oh.
He annoyed me by saying this again, or
no, it's going to be fun. So yeah, it might be weekly, I don't know, or maybe every couple of days. I don't know that I'll probably do it on a routine, but I'll try to keep it up to date at least once a week. So
I think whenever you have time, that'd be great, because a lot of people are actually looking for blogs again.
I said that makes me really happy because I love them too. Yeah,
they're pretty.
I always look at the Country Sampler. I used to have which is one of my favorite shops in the States. My God, that was my heaven when I visited. That was cross everything off the bucket list when I got to see, because I'm a quilter as well. So to visit that place in Spring Green, you should have seen Brendan's face when we walked in. He thought, she's never leaving this place.
No, I thought it was going to be really, really expensive, and it was.
And it was. Yeah, I was thinking in terms of suitcase space.
Oh,
and I had that angel. I had to fit in the.
She bought a big Santos doll, and we had to actually cut the bottom off
the base
fit
off
it in a suitcase to get it home.
We stayed with Brian and Teresa from Needle Bling, and Teresa and I both bought an angel, and we were like, "Can this fit in our suitcase?" And Brian and Brendan were having to saw the base off, and we obviously
it just fit in a suitcase.
Just fit in the suitcase. Surrounded by a bunch of toilet paper rolls that we had to bring home because there was none in Australia.
Yeah, that's
so they patted my angel on the way home.
That's when the big toilet paper shortage was here in Australia.
That happened here too, so that was fun.
So we imported toilet paper from the US last time we were there.
We dropped some off for Paulette on the way through too, because she'd run out in Nebraska as well. So we said, hang on, we've got some in our suitcase. It's okay. They've still got it up in Wisconsin. So that was funny. But no, I'm actually happy to hear that blogging's coming back, because that makes me happy. So I'll start looking around for some blogs. That's excellent.
Definitely.
So see, we're ahead of the curve again this time. Yep. We're not just behind the trend.
So I snuck this question in for you guys, just because you're designers. And where do you get your design influence from?
So the stuff that I design tends to be based on historical samplers. So, I'll take motifs or pieces from old samplers or reproduce old samplers. Whereas Karen's, she's a bit more imaginative than I am. She's got that arts background, so she can draw.
That helps.
Yeah. Yeah, and you actually then pull designs out of your.
I literally just sit with a paper and pen and a graph paper and just. I'm a bit the same with I do love sort of samplers, so I'll often take motifs from samplers and then just put my own motifs and stuff in as well. And oftentimes I'll just sit with a piece of paper. Look, I mean, I'm a photographer as well, so I'll just go around often and photograph things and think, that could transform into a design, and then I'll just draw it up on some graph paper. I used to graph a lot, and now I just do a rough layout on the graph paper. Now I tend to draw on my computer. So I literally just sit there and draw. I've been doing all my insect series though, because I love bees, dragonflies, everything. So I started off, I think my first design was honeymakers. This one, honeymakers was my first one, which was the first one we took to market. And again, I just go through, science books and stuff with insects and stuff like that, and then I'll just draw up the bug, and then I just start doing, and I just do the mandala part in the middle, just graphing it until it all looks good. We've got ladybugs, so I've had the bees, the dragonflies, the butterflies, and now I've got ladybugs or ladybirds, depends what country you come from, coming out at Expo. So I always do that one plus my little
queens.
My little queen one. Oh, whoops. So we always that's the little monarch, and then that was butterfly bliss. So I always do my large wreath for those who like a bigger stitch, and then I do a little version for people who just want to do one. So we've got would you like to, I'll show you my ladybug. I haven't framed it yet. I haven't got the wreath back yet. My stitches doing that at the moment, but I'll show you my, sorry about, oops.
Wow, that's
What?
video.
Oh,
Just
sorry.
walk off and leave everybody hanging, waiting for you.
Sorry.
It's good that you're organized.
Oh, stop it, Brenda. I wasn't going to show you the new stuff.
Last minute decision. We're okay with that.
Okay.
Big backside walking off.
Sorry
screen.
about that. Oh, thank you, Brendan. That makes me feel really good. We're on diets at the moment, so hopefully we'll be shrinking on our floss tubes. I don't know if you can see this, but that's my little ladybug.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
So, yeah. So there's a whole a wreath of 4 with all sunflowers in the thing. So that one's should be back from our model stitcher early next week, hopefully. So, yeah, so they're my little bug series. So I'll continue. I'm doing hopefully doing redback spiders for Halloween and stuff like that, or black widows, whatever they're called then. Yeah. And so I'll continue to do those because I get asked for those all the time. But my other stuff is a little bit more prim, sort of more prim based, really, I suppose. But yeah, I just literally just whatever pops in. Seasonally, I love doing seasonal things as well. So, but it's an interesting thing though, because our seasons are reversed. It's very hard at the moment. I don't want to sort of have the Australians saying, "What are you doing?" But we really can you.
Yeah.
We just sorry, Becca. We've got a puppy.
It's okay.
She needs to actually have the door closed so she's not crying.
Oh.
We thought we'd get through it before she started. She's in a crate at the moment, but she's like not happy. Yeah, it's really hard because our market is basically the Northern Hemisphere. So if I design spring things, because it's spring coming up now, it really Americans are not going to want to do spring. Yeah. So I think I'm going to start designing for the northern seasons, I think. So I should be doing fall things now. And I don't think the Australians will mind so much. Like, I mean, if we release fall things now, they can start stitching for March next year. So they can kind of stitch in advance anyway. So I don't know. This is our puppy.
Or maybe split your
honestly.
Too. Oh my gosh.
This is Lily.
So this is Lily.
No, darling, not Lily.
Oh, she's
only little and I don't like being locked away.
Oh.
She's only 8 weeks old?
She's only 9 weeks old.
9 weeks old, yeah.
She's spoiled already. Hi, darling.
So, oh my gosh, I'm in love.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I think seasonally I really like to I love to do seasonal things. So I think, as I said, I think I'll stick to what most of the designers overseas are doing, do the same seasons as they're being released. That way, you don't have all these fall ones being released at market and then at expo and then I've got all spring. Yeah, exactly. So I think I'm going to keep my designing the same as everybody else. So as in seasonal the same. I don't think the Australians are mine.
Well, I was going to say, or you split it, like depending on how many releases you're doing, do a couple for the Australians in the season you're in, if it's not too much work, and then the rest or whatever. So that way you kind of both markets.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's still technically, we've got a lovely day here today, but it's still technically winter. So she's a little bit cold and she's too little for any of the jackets and stuff we've got for her. So
yeah, they don't make them small enough for her.
Oh my God. She's an Italian greyhound.
She's very tiny. She's so cute.
From the same breed as Peaches, who's our other one. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's basically where that comes from.
Very, very inspirational. I kind of like how you go out and it just pull from nature or whatever, which is really neat. So
I'm even starting to photograph a lot of houses because there's a lot of old Federation type houses near us, and it's like, well, there's so many classic European type houses and stuff on samplers, but they don't look like our Australian colonial houses and stuff or Federation houses. So I'm going to start. So for the samples I want to start designing, I want to take sort of classic motifs and then just change them up. So put an Australian house in there. It won't look Australian. It'll just be a little bit different than you know, like, I mean, a house with a barn's going to look different here than it does in Iowa or somewhere, you know. So I want to start just changing the shape of things to be a little bit more Australian. Nobody will know, but the Australians will sort of think, well, that's an Australian house shape, whatever. It'll still look generic, but and also little things like borders. I'm designing a border at the moment to go around a sampler, and instead of maybe a tulip being in the border, it's going to have waratahs and things like that, so that it's not going to scream Australian. There won't be kangaroos in everything, but it might just be that there's a little kangaroo motifs in something instead of a deer or something like that. Enough that it's got a little bit of an Australian twist, but it doesn't alienate 3/4 of the world. So and look kitschy. I don't want. There's not going to be kangaroos and koalas. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Look, I mean, people love stitching that.
Yeah.
But
you just insult.
I just insult half of Australia. But no, because that's, like, I mean, honestly, people stitch cute koalas and stuff, and I used to as well. But just in terms of like classic samplers that are not going to date, you want something that's a little bit more stylized. So you'll start seeing our original samples, obviously not our reproduction ones, but our original ones, we're going to start having a lot of Australian type motifs inching their way in there. If I can pull it off, I think I can. So hopefully at market next year, hopefully at Nashville Market, I'll have at least one Australian sampler that's my own design. So yeah. So watch this space, Becca. It might be 2023 the way we're going, but who knows? So yeah.
Exciting though.
To hold her for a little bit.
Yeah, I thought she's going to nail the house down.
Yeah.
Like she is fine. Just looking at her. She's so cute. So the next question is, how did you learn to stitch, and how long have you been stitching?
Karen taught me to stitch. So a couple of years ago, she needed some models stitched, and we were running out of time.
Yeah.
So she told me I had to learn.
So you got to learn. You got to help, Bren.
You have to do Flosstube, and you have to learn to stitch. I love it.
A picture of my life now, aren't you?
Love it.
So hard done by this boy, honestly. I won't tell you that he happens to love stitching. He actually has more interest in than I do in all embroidery. So you want to talk about the courses you've done?
Oh yeah. So
take her.
No, she's okay. I just don't like cross stitch itself.
Well, you do, but
I do, but I actually prefer the more embroidery stitches and the dimensional work and that. So Tricia Newen, I've been doing a lot of her courses.
Thistle
threads.
Yeah.
So like the Cabinet of Curiosities and those courses where you're learning all the historical techniques for. It's like a English
2-year
embroidery.
Yeah, it's like a 2-year full-on course.
Yeah. So
yeah, amazing.
For dimensional embroidery, and I've got the white work one there that I actually haven't looked at that one yet.
Stump work.
And stump work as well.
Wow.
He likes. They also come with all supplies to eventually create these things.
Yeah, they're not cheap courses, but they're amazing. The research that she's done into the stitching and the samplers that you're recreating, and she has artisans that are, the ones from Italy and stuff that they're 90 years old and they've been making threads their whole lives, and she's getting them to actually reproduce the
gold work,
all the gold work and the embroidery threads for her. Amazing. So they're just amazing. Wow. But I've got a whole cupboard full of all these beautiful threads that I just look at. I'm not going to stitch with them because you can't. You just go there every now and then for inspiration and look at them because a lot of them now can't be replaced because the people that made them have either retired or died, and no one's taking up any of those old crafts. So it's really sad. We're losing a lot of
artisans
of all that historical embroidery threads.
A lot of people have actually compared her course to the Royal School of Needlework as far as a comprehensive embroidery course goes. Brent's got about 30 folders just full of instruction notes. Yeah. So you're going, look, obviously we want to get to the point where Brent's got downtime to start doing all that. And that's what I said about balancing the shop with our Fox and Rabbit. Eventually that's going to have to go because we need downtime just to stitch what we want to do as well without having to worry about a full-time retail shop as well. But so you want to get stuck into that. He's actually a very good cross stitcher too, by the way. The problem he's actually finding now is you love all the fine counts, don't you?
Yeah, but I can't see them.
So
the eyes are getting worse and worse every year.
Like we've got great magnification and everything, but so he's finding that mermaid that he's stitching on at the moment is stitching up really quickly because he's doing it on 30 count. So, and I said, well, you might just have to balance up what you love to look at, as in, to work with, versus what you're actually enjoying stitching with. And you've been really happy stitching on that 30K. Although, what are you doing the cryptid one on 32?
32.
Yeah, so he's doing that one on 32. So that'll stitch up well. The thing is, the trouble is, it's like all of us. He's like me. I like to use one thread rather than two.
And I like the look of 40 count as well.
Yeah.
I think it looks really nice. But when you got two pairs of glasses on, and you're still having trouble trying to see
magnifier, like the Golden Girls would be looking through. It's sort of like, oh my goodness. And for me, I was working at 2WS, which is the radio station down in Sydney. Every lunchtime, we had a big rec room downstairs. So I was in my, in the early 90s, I suppose, and I was in my early 20s. And we'd all go down every day at lunchtime, and all the girls would be sitting there, and some of the boys would be watching Young and the Restless, and or one of the soap operas in our lunch hour. And a lady called Jane was sitting there one day stitching, and I said, what are you actually doing? And she said, it's cross stitch. Now, I hadn't cross stitched since primary school, where you used to make the little doilies or whatever, or the traced linen kits and stuff. And this thing was beautiful. It was a shaker type thing. These were the days when everyone was doing Told in the Garden, and I'm trying to think what else, all the Lavender Lace Angels, or Prairie School. Well, everyone still stitches Prairie School, but Prairie School was huge. And Jane said, it's cross-stitch. She said, look, I'm going to pick some up from the framer tomorrow. I'll bring them all in and show you. Well, she brought them in the next day, and they were, oh, my. I remember it was just like, the heavens open, and I thought, that's cross-stitch? Are you kidding me? And she said, do you want to learn? So all of the girls all sat around, and every day we were cross-stitching, and never looked back after that. That was probably about 90. We were married in 95, so probably about 92, I suppose, and never looked back. So and I do like embroidery. I've done stop work classes and stuff, but basically I just love cross stitch. So I'll leave the fancy stuff to Brendan. I do love doing things like, I've done quite a lot of the drawn threads samples, probably 10 years or so ago, and I love their charts because I just love those little specialty stitches that they put in, and their diagrams. Cynthia's diagrams are fabulous. So most of my embroidery I can do now. Nearly every stitch I've ever learned, I've taught myself either from a chart or from Flosstube, from YouTube. So I do like that, but I do predominantly still prefer cross stitch. So I love cross stitch. Yeah,
I love cross stitch too, 100%.
Yeah. So that's how it went, basically.
Well, speaking of cross stitch, do you have a favorite project that you've stitched so far?
Well, my favorite sampler all time is our Dutch Beauty, which is on the wall there. But I'll answer this because I don't know that Brendan actually has. Well, he has things he has finished, but they've all been given away. They've been ornaments and things like that he's given away, or things to his mum or whatever. I don't think we've got anything in the house that you've completed.
No.
There will be, though. This will be the year. But way back,
sounds like a threat.
When we first started the shop, we were also this Martina from Chatelaine Designs. Hard to believe now that she was in her early days then. Well, she's passed away now, but she contacted us and said, look, we were always looking for things. We go over to the States for trade shows to try to find things you weren't seeing everywhere in Australia. And so we found Chatelaine, and so she, for a lot of years, we were the only ones selling Chatelaine in Australia, and then we become her Australian distributor. She said, would you be able to distribute? I'm having other inquiries from shops. It's hard for me to ship over there. Could you be our Australian distributor? Not something we really wanted to do, but we did because we wanted to help her out. Mm-hmm. So I've stitched probably 12 or so of the big Mandela Gardens, but my first one was the one I liked. So this is huge. I have to stand up and this one is called Convent's Herbal Garden. So this is probably my favorite thing I've stitched. Well, the thing I'm most proud of anyway. I don't know if you can see that. It's so huge.
Yeah, it comes through. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
It's full of specialty stitches, crystals, beading, silks, metallic threads, everything known to man. Yeah. So of all the ones of hers I did, this was my first, but it's still my favorite. So that's probably the one I'm most proud of, I think. Her stuff is just divine. Like, I mean, obviously over the years, she's sad. I was stunned when we heard she passed away, but There's so many of her designs out there to keep Stitches happy for years, but I've done, about 12 of hers all up. So, so that's probably my favourite one that I've stitched. But as I said, Dutch Beauty is my favourite sampler of all time. So.
Dutch Beauty. But your wall behind you is stunning. Like you just thrown in on the wall.
We need a permanent sign underneath that says this is Perman or Dutch Beauty by Perman, because we get asked every single video. So we need a permanent sign up there. I think if there's somebody said, I think the other day, there's a stitch along for Dutch Beauty. I don't know. It's actually got a Dutch name, but everyone calls it Dutch Beauty. I think starting in January, I've heard. So, yeah.
Cool. Very cool. No, that is stunning piece. Wow. Both of them. But, so what do you enjoy most about stitching?
Oh, for me, it's the relaxation.
Yeah. Especially when I was doing IT, it's just the fact that your mind turns off. For that hour or two that you sit down and stitch, all the rubbish that happened during the day at work just disappears. All the rubbish is going to happen tomorrow is gone. Just for that, you just locked into the piece of fabric, the needle, and following that design. It's sort of like a meditation.
Yeah. And I just love seeing it come to life. When I used to paint and think, like when I was at art school and stuff, like, just seeing something come to life. I've always, when you've got a blank canvas in front of you and they're just throwing a model at you in front of you and saying, paint that person or whatever, and you've just got to do it, and you start seeing something come to life on the canvas. It's the same for me with cross stitch. I just love, and when it's one of your own designs and you're actually stitching it, and the motive that you've got in your mind and that was on the computer that always looks different, suddenly you sort of look at it and think, oh, wow, I like that, or, oh, my gosh, that's going in the bin. But I just love seeing it come to life. That's for me. You're sitting there and that's why I love motive samplers. Like there's friends of ours are doing the flower motive sampler by the Scarlet House, and they're doing like a section a day over the 31 days of August. I didn't have time to do it because I just don't at the moment, but I think I might start a sale for that in January, because I really would love to do that, because I love motives. It's like it's like Dutch Beauty. You get a little rabbit done and you feel like you've achieved something. It's like a mini finish.
Yeah, that's a finish.
Yes, I classify it as a finish. So there's a lot of finishes on that big thing back there. So, yeah. As opposed to, I used to stitch a lot of Mirabilia and lavender and lace and stuff like that. But for me, like when you're doing one of those big dresses, you just feel like it's stunning when it's finished, but it's like, oh my Lord, until you get to her face or something where she's finished, I just think I do like things where you get little mini finishes. So.
Yeah, that's what I started to do too, because I was stitching. I have Lady of the Flag that I'm stitching.
Oh, wow.
That was my unicorn chart, and I've got her like the top half done, but I'm like, it's like big blocks of stitching and it's taken, and I'm like, then I go back to my sampler and I'm like, finish this. So yeah, I totally get that.
Funny story about Lady of the Flag. Back, I can't believe this is 20 years, but when September 11 happened and Nora brought that out, we bought, there's a lot of American themed things that sell very well in Australia now. Back 20 years ago, not so much. But because of the whole September 11 thing and the world united, that came out, which I thought was sensational. So I bought heaps for the shop. Barely sold one. See, now we sell a lot to the American market, but back then people overseas were not buying from us here in Australia. And I was stuck with so many of those charts for the better part of 15 years. So about for 5 or 6, about probably 6 or 7 years ago now, I just specialed them all off for nothing to get rid of them. Can you believe it? I could pay the house mortgage off if I had those things now.
Because you had about 15.
I had more than that. I had about 30.
I bet everybody watching this interview right now is probably.
That's half our house mortgage. I know. Can you believe that? I can't even believe it. It was just before.
Nothing.
Oh, I gave them away, practically $5 each or something. I gave them away. I think I gave some away. Somebody would get something. I'd say, do you want a Lady of the Flag to go with that? And I'd shove it in with their order. Seriously, because I couldn't get rid of them. And then it must have been about a year or so later that the trend towards collecting that thing started. And I was like, what? Yeah. No. And now, look, even now, I just wish I still had them so I could even just gift them to friends who are desperate for them now. But no, I was shoving them in with orders. If they ordered 3 Mirabilias, I'd shove a Lady of the Flag in just to get rid of them. I know. No.
Right now, that
the words coming out of my mouth, I can't even believe I'm saying it. But yeah, so
that's because today, actually, while we're filming today, which is the 18th of August, is the Common Threaded Stitcher Unicorn Chart Day on Instagram. And all I've seen on my feed is everybody with Lady of the Flag or like Queen of Freedom. So
I know. Oh, Queen of Freedom. That's another one I had to give away. I literally gave Queen of Freedom away too. Not as I didn't have as many of that one as I did of
oh my God.
Oh, I know. I know. Oh well.
I paid quite a bit for mine. Both of them.
I have a friend up in Queensland who pays a lot for memorabilia out of prints. She actually gifted. I was so moving. I've always loved Fairy Idol, and silly me didn't know it was going to be discontinued. And of course, sold my last one. Didn't have one for myself. And at the last memorabilia retreat that we had when Nora was over here, she actually got Nora to sign it and give it to me. And I think she'd paid a lot of money for that chart. So for her to just give that to me was very, I'm very touched, and it's in a very safe place, which I will stitch that one day because I love Fairy Idol. I don't think many people have stitched, it wasn't a really popular one, but it's my favorite. Yeah. So now to have that, not because it's a unicorn or anything, just because it was so kind of it to that was for Ronnie. So hi Ronnie, if you're watching this. So yeah.
That's amazing to have friends like that.
She's a great friend. She's a very, very kind person. So yeah.
Well, now that you've kind of given everybody a heart attack over that.
I know. Believe me. Every time I see it, I can't even look at the screen. I'm like, move on. Don't do it.
Well, don't go on Instagram.
Yeah.
Don't go on Instagram for a little bit.
You look back at and think, how did I do that?
Oh my gosh.
But at the time, it was the right decision.
Well, I was just sitting there doing nothing, taking up room. I thought, this chart. And it used to annoy me because I really thought it would do well. And it just didn't. It's just like, well, that's a silly decision. See, I must have known, but I just was 20 years behind. That's all. So.
Yeah, you did. You knew. So what is the time frame and process from like your initial vision to the final product being released, whether it's, dyeing a fabric or, designing a pattern?
Yeah, it really depends. Like designing fabric, we designed one last night that we're going to release at Expo. So Karen said, I want a purple for a design that she's releasing.
Meow the Merrier is a theme for Expo. They had Moo the Merrier in March and Meow the Merrier. So I've done my cat, and I said, I really want a purple for this. And so he dyed me in purple. So it took me a little while, but
at 6 o'clock, I went out at the back last night, and at 7 o'clock, I come in and said, is this the right color? And she said, yes.
And sometimes that doesn't work. It certainly doesn't work like that often.
But other times,
because it'll be trial and error.
It could take 4 or 5 weeks before we get the.
Yeah. Like if I'd said no, that's not the right purple, he would have had to keep going. But it just happened to be that he fluked this one exactly what I wanted. So it took him a few hours, but usually you've got a bit of an idea in advance what you want to dye, don't you?
Yeah. So we've sort of got a forward map of the kind of colors that we want to produce.
I'm just going to put this dog out.
And then I have time, then we start to pull those colors together, and we'll keep tweaking it and tweaking it until we get it right. So some have taken 6 months, some take an hour.
So what do you do with like all the fabric that you've done that didn't meet the color that you were trying to get to? Do you
So initially we dye on cotton.
Okay.
Just on a plain cotton. And we have a group of doll makers up here that actually buy that office. So they use it to make their dolls' clothes and things.
It's like a white homespun, so it's good quality cotton fabric.
It doesn't go to waste and you're still working to get the right color.
Yeah. But once we've moved from that to linen and perfecting on linen, because it dyes slightly different on linen, then those sample pieces we sell at a discount on our website. So we've actually started up a new part of our website, which is basically a clearance shop. So we're selling all those kind of things there. So the samples, so all those sample pieces, there's nothing wrong with the linen. They're just not quite the color we want. And also seconds on there. So, if we're dyeing a piece of linen and a spot comes on it, or there's a fault in the fabric we don't see when we're cutting it, we put those on there too. So people can get fabric a lot cheaper than they can.
And as you said, there's nothing wrong with it. It just might be there's a thread or a little hole, like a little unwoven little piece that's why I got missed or whatever. There's a whole yard of it, but you can't sell it because of that.
It's got a little red spot or a black spot from the
Yeah.
dyeing process where, you know, a piece of dye is taken stronger than it should.
There was one day Bren was dyeing seaweed, and it was in the drying area where it was soaking. The something came down from the plastic curtain thing come from outside, came down, and there was rain spots went on that top piece, and it just looked like little circles. It was the most bizarre piece, but we obviously couldn't sell it. And someone snapped it up immediately, and I said, "What are they going to do with that thing?"
Cool piece of
Brennan
fabric,
thought it was cool. I thought it was as ugly as anything, but I shouldn't say that because somebody out there is stitching on that thing. That it would have been a great patchwork fabric, but sometimes like ballet slippers. It's been very popular ballet slippers, but there were probably about 6 versions of that until he got to the one that he wanted. So those 5 yards that we dyed, he just sold off because we thought, well, they're still lovely colors, but they're not ballet slippers yet. So
not quite. They're almost.
But generally speaking, you know, it'll either be I say, look, I really need like a really pale beigey grey colour. Can we work on something? I've got some samples coming up that we need it for it. So Brett will go and work on that. But oftentimes it's just, you know, you might think he just gets out there and plays. As I said, plays with the white cotton fabric first and then brings it in and says, what do you think of this? And away we go from there. It depends. Like if it's a specific colour he wants to work on, probably about a week.
Well, it depends. Some have taken months.
Yeah. Like seaweed took a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally speaking.
But that took a long time too because we were trying to replicate someone else's
Yeah.
colour.
A friend of ours used to have a company. She hand dyed for about 15 years or so, and she had sugar. Stitches and Spice. I'll say sugar and spice. That's not right. Stitches and Spice. And Naomi had one called Camouflage, and she'd stopped doing. And she's a friend of ours. She lives up the road. She's been a friend of. She started Stitches and Spice when we started Dragonfly Dreams back then. So, and then when she stopped doing that, a few designs had done some stuff on Camouflage. Jean from the Attic wanted it as well. Naomi said, well, here's my recipe if you want to do it. But the problem is some of the dyes were different now and all sorts of stuff. They discontinued some of the dyes. So Bren had to basically come up with something from scratch that was his own, but that was similar. And so that went on for months. And then because also too, her camouflage recipe tend to be a bit volatile. So sometimes it could dye quite brown. And she even said it herself, you know, it was just the nature of that particular one. And other times be quite khaki, like quite green and olive.
Ours still has that variation as well.
Yeah, but not as much.
It's a bit
pretty
more
consistent.
It's a little bit more stable now.
Just because it's not the same recipe, basically. And if you're designing something, you can't really design it on brown and then be sending out ones that are green kind of thing. So we needed it to be a little, like none of them are always the same, like from dye lot to dye lot, but we needed it to be a little bit more consistent. That took you months. He was almost ready to you know, hats off to Naomi for developing her recipe originally, because it was just like, he was almost ready to give it a miss, weren't you? Mm-hmm. And, but now that's a fairly popular one. It takes him ages to dye though. So
yeah, it takes 4 times longer to dye that colour than any other colour.
It's been the bane of his existence, that colour, but
yeah. I think I have stitches in floss actually.
Yeah, she dyed floss as well, silks. Yeah.
I didn't even know.
And she still does some. She has a group on Facebook. I think it's called the Stitches Club. And sometimes Naomi will do, even now she'll do like just a run of maybe silk threads and stuff like that. So she still keeps a hand in doing stuff, and like she'll gift them to me for Christmas and stuff. I'll get a lovely silk pack that's a one-off. I'm like, oh, I love that. So she's very, very clever. And I think she misses it, but I think she doesn't miss it at the same time. So, but she's always great to, you know, lend a hand and, you know, for advice, especially in the early days, if she had some advice she could give. Brent's pretty right now, but yeah, every so often you might say, listen, we need to get something a little bluer or whatever. Can you suggest something? And I think she likes to sort of still, I'm sorry about our dog.
No, she's let herself out.
I let her out. Yeah. Sorry, the joys of having a new puppy.
Yep, there's a lot of work. I totally get it.
Yeah. And for me, sorry?
was gonna say it's heartbreaking because you can hear her crying.
Oh, and that's why you worry about it, because she's crying. Oh my goodness. And the trouble is, it's not like we couldn't even take her around to a friend's place just to mind her for a little bit because we can't leave the house. So we're like stuck with this crying puppy here. Yeah, well, for me, design wise, probably if I'm reproducing a sampler, I can pretty much have it charted depending on how small it is, like the original is, probably in about a week. And then a few days just auditioning threads, getting the fabric worked out for it, and off to the sample stitches. So I typically probably, what do you reckon, 3 months from the start of reproducing a sampler to when it's maybe 3 or 4 months to when it's finished. One of my own designs, they can be really fast if I've got something exactly in mind and I'm doing it. I don't like doing things to like to a theme that I have to do. Like, for example, as much fun as it is, and I'm glad I've done it, the Moo the Merrier and the Meow the Merrier were very much out of my wheelhouse because I just, you know, I thought, how do I design a cat? You know, like where the cat's the focus. That's not what I would normally do. So I'm happy with my cat. I did a Siamese, but I just, you know, that took me a little longer. But if I've got something in mind, I know exactly what I want, I can get it down in about 2 days. But if it's something I've got in mind, but it's not quite working, it might take a couple of weeks. So I don't think any of my designs have taken much longer than about 2 weeks to actually have it charted and then off. So I try to be, once I've got an idea, it's getting the idea in the first place that can sometimes be a bit, it's like everything. I'm sure, you know, novelists have writer's block. You sort of think, you know, you're staring at something, and if you think, well, you know, we really need some new releases out soon, or it's market time and you think I need to have 6 designs for market or whatever. I don't like it when I prefer to do it when spontaneously rather than to schedule. But we're going to be releasing a lot more designs in the coming year. I mean, now that I'm kind of moving away from the shop more and more into designing, I want to have a regular release schedule, because we've been really, this year has just been all consuming with the fabric to the point where I've barely had one of my own designs out. So that will be rectified in the coming months. We'll start with Expo, and then we'll get some Halloween designs out for Halloween, and then I'll do Christmas, and then I'll start working on market. So we need to get consistent designs. We've got a lot of samplers to reproduce as well, heaps. So there's no shortage of those coming out. So, and actually, would you like to see one of our market? We actually did one for Expo where it's a Welsh woolwork sampler. And with the wool samplers, they tend to fade a lot on the front, but usually be quite vibrant on the back, unlike silk and things. But this particular one hadn't faded very nicely on the front, like the colours that had faded to were quite just not very nice palette. So we turned it over, and it was the brightest thing I've ever seen. And I remember seeing one of Nicola Parkman's Flosstubes, and she said it's always a conundrum. Do you chart from the front? Do you chart from the back? Oftentimes we'll chart from the front if it's done in silk or something and it's faded to a beautiful antique colour, but we will give a second colourful option. But this particular one we thought, and she said, I often wonder if that little girl was looking down at this today, would she recognise that as her sampler? And I thought of that when we did this Welsh one, because I thought, you know what, we're doing this one as she stitched it. So it's stitch for stitch, but it's bright. So this is not framed yet because we can't get to a framer. So Brendan's going to have to try to somehow frame our stuff for Expo. But this one is called Mary Morgan's, and she's very, very bright.
Oh my gosh, the colors.
Can you believe the colours? I'll see if I can get a little closer to that. Look at that rose.
Stunning.
Yeah. So it's very, very bright.
Oh,
whether that'll appeal, I don't know. But that is exactly the colours that she stitched it in originally. So that, yeah. So
I actually want to stitch it. I'm not a reproduction sampler stitcher. I don't think I've ever stitched a reproduction, but that one, the colors, I think I really want to stitch that.
Well, I hope that does appeal to people that are not the traditional sampler stitches. It's just nice to reproduce something exactly as the little girl did it back in the day. So yeah, and Jenny bought our model stitcher. She stitched that in about, you talk about time frames. She stitched that in a week and a half for us.
What?
She's amazing. I can still smell her smoky needles. She's up in Queensland now. She literally was probably 2 weeks from the time I sent it to her to the time it got back. So we are so incredibly grateful to her for doing, and it's a beautiful job. And she loved it because Jenny's a very bright girl. She likes her bright colours. So it was nice to send her a sampler that she enjoyed stitching for a change rather than a little bit more. She's way more out there with her colours and designs that she likes to do. So she's also going to do our spider wreath because she's very excited. She loves all the goth stuff and everything. So she'll like doing the spider. So so thank you, Jenny, if you're watching this. So she's amazing. And, our model stitches are amazing. Marg, who Naomi stitched that little ladybug for me in like 2 days. She's doing my cat. I'm taking the cat round to her today. I've got to drop it in a mailbox because I'm not allowed to actually go there. I'm actually even taking a risk dropping it off. And then Marg's crazily stitching she'll have stitched the ladybug wreath in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's not the pressure we would normally put on our model stitches, but so we're very grateful. So it can be a longer process, but typically a couple of months.
Well, that's good.
A way to answer your question, but
well, no, I was gonna say that's good to know that, like the people who stitch for you a week and a half for that sampler, that's a good size sampler. So I mean, it can be done in a amount of time, which is really neat to know, because most people see a size like that and they're like, oh my gosh, this is going to take me forever.
Yes. Yeah, true. You can't sleep. You can't sleep for a week and a half, but hey.
It'll be a month instead of like an entire year, which people think for a project that big. So
it's still doable. I did honestly. She's done some quick stitching for us in the past, but I thought that one might be a little bit of a bridge too far. But no, I still can't believe it's sitting here, and we've still got a week to mark it. We've just got to work out, as I said, how to frame it now. So Brendan has framed things for us in the past, but that's when we've had access to somewhere where we can go and buy a molding. We can't. It's just you sort of think, I'll just go down and get it. Oh, I can't. It's just.
Well, we had even trouble getting foam cord to stretch it.
On. It's just. Oh God, lockdown's so much fun.
I think if you're not able to get it framed, it still looks gorgeous without a frame. I mean,
worst case scenario for our pattern covers, we'll just take a photograph of that, and Brent can put a virtual, like a digital frame around it for our covers, and then we'll get them properly framed as soon as we open up again. So, especially that one, because I want that framed professionally, but it's just going to have a temporary one for the expo and for the covers. Yeah.
So we're actually going to get out of stitching a little bit and kind of get to know you both a little bit more. So what's your favorite genre of book or movie?
Brendan?
Well, I love the more suspense and horror type things. So Stephen King is my favorite author. The Stand is my favorite book of all time.
That's how we met.
Yeah. Well, not how we met.
Oh, not how we met. Sorry, how we started to going out. Yeah. Sorry, we'd known each other for ages. We'd been friends for years, but yeah. Brendan used to come in, and I was recording all this stuff late at night, and Brendan came in because he was working late to the 2WS, and we got talking about Stephen King, and he said his favourite book was The Stand, and I said, I've never been able to read that. I can't get through that thing. So then I was on an assignment. He brought his treasured copy in for me and said, you've got to read. And so every day I was having to do a book review for him, and we would discuss the chapters late at night, and that's how we started.
That's the only way I can make you read it.
Yeah.
Just to quiz you every day.
So he'd know I'd read chapters 1 to 6 or whatever. I'm like, oh, and then, you know what? I loved it by the end. But yeah, so you love Dean Kuntz.
Yeah, but all of that style of book is what I like reading, and also some science fiction as well.
He's an avid reader. He can read a book in a day. So
Yeah, Kindle's my favorite thing.
Not my favorite thing. I love to read too, but I like a book in. I do have a Kindle for when we travel, but I'm a bit of an older. I like a book in my hand personally.
Yep.
I just like the feel of having a book, going out the back with a book in my hand. But Brendan likes you like ebooks too.
Yeah.
You've actually just listened to Stephen King's latest one.
Well, still listening to it.
Yeah.
So audio.
Yeah.
That's why I'm buying. I have audiobooks going or.
Nice.
And I'm starting to do that too, because he's a bit like me. He's finding that if he's watching Flosstubes and stuff, those things are not getting done as quick. My serging, I listened to a biography the other day, and I just realized I serged 50 yards of linen in about half an hour, 40 minutes less than I normally do. And I didn't realize how much those videos and stuff I was watching were just distracting me. So you're ebooking out there at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, either that or podcasts.
Podcasts, yeah.
Yeah.
How about movies?
Movies is really everything.
Oh, yeah.
Except for romance crap.
No romance crap.
Brendan loves all the B grade 1950s,
The cheesier, the better. So all those really old horror movies, the really, really, really bad ones.
The Thing. And
I love those. I love sitting there watching them, making fun of them.
And modern day B10 D grade things.
Yeah, like Sharknado and all those.
Sharknado's his favourite series.
Saw that one.
all those really, really, really badly made horror
zombies
movies.
as well. Zombie movies. Every single zombie movie has gone on the television in this house. Well, the only one I've liked was the one with Woody Harrelson, whatever that one was. Was that zombie movie with Woody Harrelson?
Oh, I can't remember.
Can't remember either. But yeah, if it's D grade and gory or zombie or
Badly
alien or some kind of cryptid that's sharks turned into a whale that's turned into a bloody dinosaur or something, Brendan will watch it.
Love it.
Our house is very varied. Me, on the other hand, well, we do like similar movies. Like, we love Star Wars, but there's a lot of movies we like that are the same. We do have a lot of interest in the same, but Brendan's very extreme in that regard, aren't you, baby?
Connoisseur.
A connoisseur of the D-grade movie.
Love it.
The popcorn. And we've got like a huge television, so those zombies come to life on the big screen now with surround sound. Yeah. For me, my favourite book of all time, I've got it here actually. And it's a good is Lord of the Rings.
Oh, so, yeah. Nice.
That's my favorite book of all time, books of all time. I actually, a teacher that I just loved, who was a huge influence on my life all through high school. It was his first year teaching at high school, and it was our first year at high school. He became a friend in later years, but he was a huge influence on me, reading everything. And he had our class all the way through to graduation, and huge impact. So for all the young teachers out there like Noah, don't ever underestimate the influence a good teacher has on you, because this man was everything. And I read two books I read in early high school were The Hobbit, which started this, and Lord of the Flies, which is another favorite book. But after I read The Hobbit, I started reading Lord of the Rings for the first time. And I'm not a person who reads a book twice. Brendan will read The Stand, I don't even know how many
about
times.
7 or 8 times now.
Yeah, my thought, I'm like that with cross stitch too. I can't stitch things twice. My thing is, there's so many other books I want to read. I don't want to read something twice. Bren's completely the opposite with books. But I've read Lord of the Rings many times. But my other favorite one is completely different, and that's Little Women. I'm an only child, so my mum and dad read to me all the time when I was a child, and I used to sit on Dad's lap, and he would read Cinderella to me. It would be all the Disney classics, but every single night it would have to be Cinderella. Poor Dad. I think, oh my goodness, could we not throw a Snow White in there? No. It had to be, and if he'd skipped a page, even though I couldn't read, I knew he'd skipped a page. And then when I finally got to the point where I got my first adult book of my own, it was Little Women, and still one of my favorite books. My favorite movie of all time is Little Women, the 1953 or whatever it is, June Allison movie. So yeah, mine is more, so I love fantasy fiction. I like historical fiction, love Outlander series, that type of thing. I also love biographies. So you like some biographies, but not as me. I love reading about people's real lives, historical, current. Love everything to do with serial killers, which is a little bit concerning for Brendan.
Yeah, especially those podcasts.
I can't get enough of podcasts on serial killers, and
I think you're taking notes half the time.
I've read every book on every crazy person out there. Yeah. So, but movies wise, my favorites would be Little Women. I have been obsessed with Titanic since I was about 8 and saw A Night to Remember. So the 1995 Titanic one's fabulous. Star Wars is both of us. We're already watching Star Wars again for I don't even know how many times the other night. And my other favourite's To Kill a Mockingbird from back in the day with Gregory Peck. So my tastes are very varied.
Wow, very eclectic. Love it.
Yeah.
That kind of leads into an interesting question of, I'm curious on this one, what fictional place would you most like to go to then?
Easy for me. Rivendell.
Yeah, that's a popular one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Followed by the Shire, but either one. I want to go live with the fairies. Yeah.
I don't actually know. That's a bit sad.
Where would you like to live? There's got to be somewhere.
No,
Probably in Tatooine or somewhere. Somewhere, I don't know.
yeah. The trouble is, a lot of the books that I read, you don't really want to live in those places.
No.
Well,
You don't want to live in Derry with Pennywise the Clown chasing you around.
absolutely not.
I was going to say, Derry, Maine would not be one of the places that Brendan would want to visit. Or what's the hotel in The Shining?
The Oval.
Oh, that actually exists, that place, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Based on a hotel.
Yeah.
On it, but that would be kind of neat just to go visit.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to stay overnight, but have creepy little girls chasing you down the corridors.
Yeah, because you don't really read a lot of kind of like places, like you wouldn't say Hogwarts or something like that because you're not really a Harry Potter fan.
No, I've read them, but yeah.
Whereas mine have a lot of fantasy places, the stuff I read. So, but when I saw Rivendell come to life in The Lord of the Rings in Peter Jackson's version, I just thought, yep, that's it. That's exactly like I imagined. And it exists, I know, somewhere. Yeah. Sorry. Poor Bren. He's like, oh my God, I can't think of anything.
All right.
You do know that after this video, though, Becca, he'll think of about 3,000 different places he'd like to go and live.
But as I said, the places like Derry, I don't want to live there.
Yeah, he mostly reads horror, so that's right. So,
No, I probably wouldn't want to, visit any of those places either. Absolutely
it's
not.
funny though, when we were in Maine. Well, no, it wasn't Maine that was, because it's always Derry, Maine, but we actually went to Derry, New Hampshire, and when we drove into Derry, Brendan was like, "Oh, wow. Don't know about this town, cutest town in New Hampshire," but he was just like, yeah, don't think we need to go near any drains or anything in this town. So yeah, it was funny.
That's pretty neat. So if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
Snorkeling on the Great Barrier Reef, which is what we did last.
Yeah, that was one of the best days I've ever had.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever done anything as amazing as that.
That was pretty amazing. Yeah. We'd go back there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we will one day. But yeah.
When you're able to, yeah. I've never done
that was, we've heard about the Great Barrier Reef our whole life, but seriously, if you ever come to Australia, that you've got to go up to Port Douglas and do one of the snorkeling tours. Brent actually used to dive when he was younger. But we snorkeled on this one.
Yeah, and
oh my God.
I dived on a lot of reefs, but nothing like this.
Yeah. Brent's dived on reefs over in the Solomon Islands and everywhere, but nothing like that.
No, it was amazing.
Yeah,
the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Wow.
So that was an easy one.
And chasing turtles and
because we actually snorkeled on 3 separate reefs. So on every reef in the day, every reef you saw something different.
Yeah,
the last one, sharks,
turtles, and
the last one were these beautiful
fish.
green sea turtles, and it was just like, it was just fabulous and perfect weather. Beautiful part of winter, but winter in far north Queensland is summer anywhere else, and it was just, the water was 26 degrees Celsius. It was just amazing.
Yeah. And marlin jumping out of the water.
Yeah, marlin jumped out of the water right near our boat. It was like, and even the guy that was on the tour said, I've never seen that. And he's, the guy that ran the tour, he said, I've never seen a marlin just jump out of the water in front of our boat. It was, and dolphins, and we didn't see a whale up there, but it's the migrating whale season, so there's whale sightings everywhere at the moment. Just beautiful. So
yeah, that sounds amazing.
Why it's one of the, whatever it is, the 8th wonders of the natural world, because it seriously does not, it's like the Grand Canyon, doesn't disappoint when you see it. It's just amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
So there we go.
Very cool. So do you have any other hobbies besides cross stitch? I know we probably touched on this a little bit through the interview.
Quilting is me, patchwork.
Yeah, I pick up and drop things. I have a very, very, very short attention span. So like this cricket machine, it'll be the flavor of the month for a couple of weeks and then probably on eBay.
No, yeah. Except if it's doing business stuff for him. If it does work out for business, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, do you want to do a leather work course after the?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of
this?
things that I want to do. So yeah, I love all leather accessories. I've got a whole room full of leather bags and things. So I'm wanting to actually sit down and actually learn how to actually do that.
He's found a course down in Sydney.
Yeah, but we were just about to book into it, and then
The lockdown
happened here again. So they had to close all that down. We
also do Lego together as well. Love Lego. Brendan's done the Millennium Falcon, which is in a big glass case in his room. That has the same therapeutic kind of effect that cross stitch does for us. It's just sitting and just creating these things. It's fun, and we just sit here and we watch the telly, and he'll do his here and I'll do mine. And but Brendan also used to when we had the shop, he actually did a lot of jewelry design, and he was actually published. He had the front cover of Jewelry Maker, I think it was. He used to do a lot of jewelry design. Yeah,
but that's all.
He did that for about a year, but then when he went back to work in IT, he just didn't have time. And
but it's also
one of his other things. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
On to the next.
What's the next shiny thing?
Yeah. That was a long hobby though. That was actually he used to do a lot of silver work and beautiful stuff. I've still got a lot of the jewelry he's made me. So yeah.
Yeah, we're teaching that for a little while too.
Yeah, Bree used to teach it in the shop with the silver clay and everything, with the art clay that you can make that turns into silver when it's fired. I also do pottery. At uni, I did a minor course in pottery, and I still have all my clay out the back. And one of our dear friends, Bobby and Jane, Bobby's an amazing potter. And again, when we're out of lockdown, I'll sometimes go around there and she teaches me stuff that I want to learn more wheel work. I tend to do more hand-built pottery, but I'd like to buy a kiln and get that all set up at the back when life gets back to normal.
That would be neat.
I love having clay in my hands. I'm a real Taurian. I like to have earthy.
We had a kiln.
We had a kiln before I got back into pottery, and another thing we sold before we moved up here.
Because I was doing hot glass work.
So there's a divine big kiln that I said, no. Brent said, will we sell it? I said, oh, we're not taking it all the way to the Central Coast. I'm never going to do pottery again. Well, what happened? 12 months after I moved up here, I'm back into doing pottery again. So, yeah. But luckily, my friend Bobby's got a kiln, and I belong to the Tuggerah Lakes Pottery Guild, so I can actually use their kilns as well. But, yeah, so that's me. I like to have a lot of dirty, filthy clay in my hands.
Yeah, but you tend to stick to things too.
I'm more of a sticker of things. I do my things for long periods of time. Brent is very.
What's the next thing?
What's the next thing? Diamond painting he hasn't done. He hasn't gone down the diamond painting frame road. It doesn't really interest you, does it?
Not yet. No.
Not yet.
But you never know. Could be next week.
It might interest you. I am doing a Bigfoot diamond painting.
My God, that's it.
I'll be on Amazon after this.
He'll be on Amazon the minute this video's over.
Don't buy the square ones, because I bought the square drills and I'm not a big fan of them, and a lot of people do the round drills. But yeah, it's the forest scene and Bigfoot in the middle of it, and it's going to go up on my Bigfoot wall. So there you go. If you want diamond painting.
100% guaranteed that will be happening today. That I can guarantee you. If there's little things that are certain in life, Becca, that's one thing I know will be happening the minute he gets off this thing. So, oh my goodness, I've got to design a Bigfoot for him. That's on the request.
Yeah, if you do the Bigfoot, yep.
Paulette did. I must admit, Paulette did the Bigfoot. Well, for
Bigfoot
everyone,
bunch.
but for Bigfoot bunch and the Yeti for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I stitched that
for the stitching community, but
No, it wasn't. It was for me.
It was technically for you. Yeah.
that as soon as I saw you guys had it, I ordered it. I stitched it up. It's up on my Bigfoot wall. I love it. So the more Bigfoot patterns, the better.
Oh, it's behind you somewhere. Yeah, it's fabulous. He actually, it's funny. He wanted to do those little. What are those little cryptid?
The Quaker cryptids.
The Quaker cryptids.
Yeah. Darvana Lee Design Studios is
Yes.
yeah.
The little cryptid, but then Naomi, our friend Naomi, made him the little pin keep drum with all of them. There's Loch Ness Monster, the Bigfoot, the Yeti. Yeah, so but he actually had bought the pattern, so he thinks he'll probably just do them for, because we do a lot of Christmas exchange ornaments and stuff with friends and Halloween. So he'll probably do those for Halloween for some friends. So because he wants to stitch them, even though he now has it. So yeah, Darling and Whimsy.
That's what, Darling Whimsy Designs. That's what it was.
When I blank on somebody's name I know really well, I do it all. I'm getting too much in our head. I always say, I'm like my dad, I say, I'm forgetting things all the time. And someone said, it's because you've got too many things in your head. It's got nothing to do with getting older. There's too much going on. So I hope that's what it is.
So, okay, this one I'm excited about. Usually it's how would your friends describe you, but I'm curious on how you guys would describe each other as well.
Oh,
This has been a fun interview.
This is going to lead to a divorce, isn't it?
we've already mentioned the procrastination, so we got the bad thing out of the way.
Procrastination isn't a bad thing. It's contemplating.
I'll get teary if I start saying things about Brendan. Like we joke all the time, but he's the best. He's my best friend, and he's the best person I know. Besides, I've been very lucky in my life. I had the men in my life. I had a wonderful grandfather. My dad is the best, and then I married the best. So he's a very, very good man. Yeah, I'm gonna get teary now. So shut up, Brendan. See that he's very kind, very thoughtful, does everything for everyone. He's just a very good person.
And drive you crazy.
And he drives me mad too. But yeah, we can have some humdingers sometimes, honestly, and we'll scream, and then it's gone. It's because he's you marry your best friend, and you're set for life.
Yep. Your turn.
Oh dear.
Don't I get all teary with things like this?
So I've been really lucky. I met Karen when I was 22, and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah.
So she's been my best friend for, I'm not telling you how many years.
It's
a really, really long time. And I just can't imagine life without her. She's a constant part of my life, and now that we're working together full time, we're locked in the house together full time. I just couldn't ask for a better person to be part of my life.
That's awesome. Oh, I love it. Oh.
Even though she drives me batshit.
And he drives me mad too. So
I mean, my husband and I, that's so funny you guys are saying that, because we were just talking before we started the interview. We've been married 23 years, and it's the same thing. I call him my person. He's the person, I go to. He's my best friend. But man, he can drive me insane. He just cracks these little jokes that make me just want to. So I totally get it. I loved hearing that from both of you. I kind of put you on the spot because it really was, how would your friends describe you? So that was just kind of on the spot. I asked you guys. But
no, we're very lucky. So yeah, it's so funny when we were. I remember we were at a pub once over at Watson's Bay when we were in our early 20s, and fellow I was going out with at the time, I think was like 10 years older than me or something at the time. A million years ago, and we were talking about something, because Bren's younger than I am, and not by much, but he's younger than I am, and I said something, but I'd always gone out with guys older, always, and he said something, so you'll never marry me then? And I said, not in a million years, you're a baby. Just because I could see anyone who was younger than me as being younger. And so fast forward, I think about 5 years, and we were walking down the aisle. So never say never. It was a joke at the time, and thankfully I didn't end up with the one who was 10 years older than me, because that wouldn't have been good. So, yeah. Thankfully you end up with who you're meant to end up with, I think. So yeah.
100%. Very cool. Well, now that we got the emotions out of the way, we'll get back into stitching a little bit. How do you prefer to stitch? Do you use like a hoop, a Q-snap, in hand, that kind of thing?
I've always stitched either on a frame or a Q-snap. Karen tried to teach me how to stitch in hand, and I ended up, with crinked up hands and cramps and looking a bit like a weirdo trying to stitch.
Clutching it for dear life. It was like, don't clutch it so hard and you won't get cramps. He's like, hold it like this.
Yeah, so I've always had frames. And Karen's always stitched in hand until recently. I don't know if it's because
I still do, but
if she's getting older or what it is, but
older.
She's been stealing all my frames.
Oh no.
So I had a Millennium frame.
Which I bought him.
Yeah. Well, you found a second-hand one for me because you can't get them new.
Good Lord, that was a try.
You got to wait like 5 years for them to ship them to you.
Luckily for us, a lady in Australia, because they literally, from needle needs in England, they just take years. And we tried every avenue to get them, even wanting to pick them up when we were in England, and that didn't work out for them. And I was like, oh, and Brandon was like, I'm over this. I'm over trying to get these things. And then a lady who was on this interesting subject though, because she would stitch in hand, and she was looking for this miracle frame that would work for us. So we went to her house, and she had bought every system on the market, from Q-snaps to hoops to every frame imaginable, including the Millennium frame, the entire kit, stand, sidebars, everything, and cost her a fortune. And she used one of the frames once, and that was it. So it was brand new, and she just said, I don't like this. Anyway, we went over, and I said, when we saw everything she had, I said, your problem is you're searching for something that doesn't exist. If the Millennium frame doesn't work for you, you can't stitch on a frame. It's as simple. There's not some miracle thing out there, because she was starting to do some of the heids. So she needed something to rather than handhold, but she doesn't like the process of having a frame in her hand or even on a stand. And she didn't want to be moving Q-snaps. And so I said, you have to accept you're an in-hand stitcher. She still was looking. I said, that's like the Rolls Royce of frames. You don't get any better than that. If that doesn't work for you, I'm glad it doesn't work for you, because we'll take it off your hands. But so Bren got that for his 45th birthday, I think.
Yeah, but about 6 months ago, you decided that you wanted it, and it just disappeared.
I thought I romanticized the idea of stitching in a frame. I love the idea of it. I love it all pulled taut and pretty, and it looks so neat when you're stitching rather than crumpled up in my hand. But I actually am doing both now. I actually do enjoy when I'm not in a hurry to have something stitched. I will stitch on the frame. When I am in a hurry to stitch, like I am in the sampler, I'm getting ready for Expo, I'm stitching in hand, because I can stitch 10 times faster.
Yeah, you can be faster.
But we bought Brendan. Because obviously we've got the Millennium frame stuff, but there's not enough of those bits, and we're not ordering any more from them. So what were the ones you got? Got me? Almanac.
Yeah. Whatever yeah.
So we've got pretty much
we've got a good collection of those now. And again, it's funny, all mine have disappeared.
Well, I have a lot of projects on the go, so I like to have them. I don't want to take them off that front. I like to have them all set up.
Yeah, I have a piece of work on it, and I put it down, and I come back and I find the piece of work folded up.
In my defense, I stitch every day. Brennan stitches once in a blue moon. So, but I don't want to take it off and put another one on. I just want them all set so I can grab it and stitch when I feel like it. But we did get some more. The joys of being in lockdown. You're just sitting there ordering everything online.
I bought more, but I haven't seen them.
They're just here. They are here. But I do actually like that. And I like Q-snaps too. If I'm going to do a quick specialty stitch, like if I need a satin stitch something, I'll whack it on a Q-snap for the tension. And then, but I'm more an in-hand person. Brent, definitely a frame.
And on a Lowry stand.
Yeah, we have, Brendan bought us, see, this is what I mean. He had a Lowry stand, just normal silver Lowry stand. What colour is your Lowry stand now, Brendan?
Orange.
He saw a new Lowry stand hit the market, and it's his favourite colour. So he was like, let's sell the current one and get an orange one.
I got you a blue one.
And he bought me a lovely aqua one, so I'm actually happy too. In my defence, I didn't actually have the stand. I only had but they're actually very good. The Lowry stands are very, very good. And he bought something the other day to put on it that it could hold his Q-snap as well.
Yeah,
Brent tends to have a Q-snap if it's a small little project. Like you'll probably stitch, you're doing your mermaid on a Q-snap, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would have once said in hand all the time, never use anything else, but I am starting to grow up a little bit. I'm getting all grown up now, and I'm starting to use a frame. But yeah, whatever makes stitching look neat.
Yeah.
You can't tell between my frame stitching and my in-hand stitching, Becca, but it's just nice to have it there, all nice and taut, and you know your stitches are going to be lovely. So yeah.
Yeah.
What do you stitch on? Do you stitch on
I do Q-snaps. I'm the same way. I don't want to take off my Q-snap and move it to another project. So I have an insane amount of Q-snaps on all my different projects.
Thank you.
I would just like one. I'm not asking for many, just one.
One.
So I'll make you a deal. You start stitching something new, and I'll give you the frame back. No, we do have a shipment that just arrived, so we've now got about 5 extra ones. Mind you, I've got a lot I want to start after Expo, so they might get used up pretty quick. So you better be fast. Get that cryptid cell on those bars, and
it doesn't make any difference. I come in and find it folded up, and you've stolen it.
A lot happens in this house when he's out the back dyeing fabric. The funny thing is, it takes him like a week or two to even notice it's not sitting there on his frame anymore, Becca. So that shows you how often he's stitching.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit more stitching.
100%. Oh, sorry, baby.
Punched me.
Stitching so that your stitching can be up in the house, because remember that was said earlier.
100%.
Uh-oh.
But you do realise that there's going to be a Bigfoot diamond painting on the wall now, Becca, instead of the stitching now. Thank you very much for enabling him in that respect. Oh, dear. We'll show that on an upcoming one as soon as it can arrive, depending on the Australian mail, which is not so good.
Yes, that's going to be exciting. Hopefully you like diamond painting, but at least it's Bigfoot. So, I think you'll enjoy it.
It'll be good for his time, for his that'll occupy his interest for one, which is about what he usually does, and then he'll be over it. So he'll have one that he liked, and then he'll be on to the next one. So that'll be perfect.
Don't worry about those kits with the dogs, because you've got all those little coloured tiles.
Yeah, you got to
go everywhere.
You got to buy a bead container, and then you can separate them, and they won't get everywhere that way. Because I have dogs, and we have a cat that runs around, so it's all secure. And then you'll be fine.
Yeah. And you put it on the table where luckily Lily cannot jump yet.
Yeah, but Peach does.
She'll be right.
Yeah,
she'll be right.
Because I'm worried you get to come home and find the dogs have knocked it all over, and you've got 7,000 little tiles all mixed together.
You got to get something that secures. Yeah, secures clothes. But more gas.
Sit there.
Karen won't be separating the drills.
Karen will
I
have
can
to
tell
sit
you
there
right
with
now.
tweezers separating all the colours for me.
Not happening. Bigfoot is yours, baby. It's not anything to do with
No. If they spill, then I just order another kit, because there's no way.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. Oh, no. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, and it goes everywhere, and the jigsaw pieces you think, if there's one piece missing, I'm so anal. If I got a whole jigsaw done and one piece was missing, I would throw that thing out the front door, because I couldn't stand there being one piece gone. I'm just really
That's funny. So do you have, we probably kind of talked about this already, but do you have a favorite place that you've traveled, and did you bring stitching along when you went?
For me, it would be Loch Lomond in Scotland. No, I didn't take any on our trip to England. I didn't. My problem is I take stitching on all our trips to the States. We go to the States at least once or twice a year usually, or even on our trip up to Queensland. Up in Queensland, I got a little bit of stitching done, but I have thoughts of stitching on holidays. Never happens. So
there's always too much other stuff to do.
No, I was going to say, when we went to England, and Scotland is just, my heart got left in Scotland's just so. No, I didn't take any stitching with me, but Loch Lomond in Scotland would be my favourite place.
Well, Loch Ness, when we stayed at that castle, that was pretty
Loch
amazing.
Ness was amazing as well. You found that place. See, we went there in winter, so it was near Christmas time.
Yeah. And then we actually, looking online, we actually found there's a castle that the church owned, and they were starting to convert it into like apartments. They were going to sell the apartments, but in the meantime, they were renting them out. So we actually got to stay in a suite in a castle for
us and about
4 days.
Us and about 6 other people, and that was it. We were the only ones roaming this old castle. Right on Loch Ness.
Yeah, right on the lake. It was absolutely amazing.
Bizarre place. And we got it for like $100 a night. Normally it's going to be rented out for nearly $1,000 a night or something crazy.
It was like a 500 or 600-year-old castle.
Yeah.
You guys have done amazing things. Wow.
Paris.
Yeah, I love Paris.
Oh, man.
At nighttime, we're walking down the Seine, and it's just beautiful. The beautiful light. It was the most amazing things. It actually looked like a painting.
Yeah, looked like a Van Gogh or something.
Looked like a Van Gogh painting. You could actually see where, you see his paintings, and you see all those colours
reflected on the water,
and you wonder how he actually, imagined that. And then you see that river at nighttime reflecting all those colours, and you can see where he saw it.
We love the Impressionists. Plus my favourite artwork in the world is in Paris, and I got to see it in real life. So that for me was just
the ballerina.
Yeah, Degas' bronze ballerina is my favorite piece of art in the world. And to see it standing there was just, I couldn't leave it. I just stood there for hours just looking at this bronze ballet dancer, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and I went there to see Starry Night. And
Brandon went there to see Starry Night. It was on loan to Belgium.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, we eventually want to move overseas. So when we do, we'll have access to stuff a lot easier than it is from the Southern Hemisphere.
From Australia. We're a long way from everywhere.
Yeah. So that's our plan. The next near future is to move for a few years. Yeah. Travel the world. We want to do a lot of traveling. So we just love Australians travel. Well, Australians normally, in normal times, we travel everywhere. Obviously, our country's been closed off for 18 months. So that's another thing that's playing with our minds a little bit, because we're a country of travelers. I think being so far away, people just, we travel. We've seen a lot of our own country, but we travel a lot. And that's the thing that's killing us a little bit at the moment, isn't it? But yeah. But because of that, we got to see parts of northern Queensland we've never seen. So, you got to look at the glass half full side of everything. So, but yeah, Scotland for me was everything. And that'd be close second to you, wouldn't it? We actually, funny story on Loch Lomond, we booked in and we thought we'll go for an afternoon hike.
No, we were there early and the lady told us.
Oh, that's what it was, yeah.
The room wasn't ready yet. She said there's a little short walk.
There's a short little hike across the road round via the loch. Your room will be about an hour or so. So we thought, okay, that sounds lovely. Off we went. What happened, Brendan? And there was a fork in the little road that said left and right.
We were supposed to turn left, but we turned right.
Yeah.
It was an amazing walk.
Oh, one of the most amazing things we've ever done.
It ended up being the West Highland Way. So it was
we climbed a mountain.
We actually climbed up a mountain.
Oh, geez.
We're climbing up and up and up. We're seeing Highland cattle. We're not the fit. We're trying to get fit again now, but we were not the fit. And we just thought, what's it? This is not a 15-minute walk. And they got to a point, there were these little kind of rocky steps, and they were almost vertical.
You go
and
up.
I just said to Brendan, there's Highland cattle up here. There's no lock. Why are we going higher? And then I was literally crawling up these stairs. Brendan just managed to make it to one little level, which was and then then Brendan said, this is starting to get on sunset. And so it's getting dark. As well. And we thought, it's getting dark. And so Brendan said, oh my gosh, you've got to just get up this last ledge. So I crawled up to the top. We're both dying of heart. And we got there and we're on the top of this mountain and you could see the loch all the way around us and the sun setting on the loch. And I said, when I die, I want my ashes sprinkled off this mountaintop, because that was the most amazing thing I think we've ever done.
Yeah.
Mind you look to the right and there was another mountain. So we're actually on the West Highland Way that goes for about
across Scotland,
hundreds of miles across Scotland, up. I think it even goes up Ben Lomond and places. But when we finally got down and got back to the hotel,
it was quick coming down.
Yeah, it was quick coming down. She said, the funny thing is, coming down, this man who had to be in his 80s.
No, he told us he was 86.
Was he? He was on his way up. Fit as anything, and he does it every day. We're trying to get up this, at 40 something, and here's this guy twice our age, trying to get up this.
He was running up
this mountain, and we got back to the lady, and she was like, "I was starting to worry about you," and we said, we went to the top of this, and she goes, "Oh no, if you turned left, you just went for a gentle walk around the loch," and we said, "But we turned right." She said, "Oh my gosh," she said, "I've lived here all my life, and I don't even climb that," and we're like, okay, but we saw the best view we've ever seen in our life. So that was kind of like an out-of-body experience from the top of that mountain with that sun going down over the loch. So for me, that's my favourite place that I've ever been.
That's
together, yeah.
If
it had been Paris, that would have been Brendan's too. So, but Paris trumped it for him, baby.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, they are the way that you guys describe it. Wow.
Amazing. Scotland you leave your heart in Scotland. That's a special country. That's just.
We've been to some amazing places in the US too, but.
Oh, we love the United States. There's a design called One Nation by Stitches, which is the map with all the states written on it. So I'm actually starting that soon, and I'm going to fill in all the states. I've got about 38 that I've visited. Brendan's one less because I've been to Hawaii, but Every year we go, we try to do another 3 or 4 states that we haven't seen before. So we're getting there.
Slowly.
It's going to be, and I'm only going to stitch the states in as I visit them.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah, so it'll be empty for a while because we're going to get to Alaska and places, but we're getting there. We love the United States. Love it so much. Love where you are.
Oh,
So, Pacific Northwest we love. And Bren's ancestors come over on the Mayflower. So he also loves around that whole Massachusetts area as well. His 10th great-grandfather was John Alden.
Maine's beautiful too.
Yeah, we love that. Yeah.
Coast. We used to live on the East Coast, Connecticut. We were there for 6 years and loved that area so much. But love the Pacific Northwest more. Like a top
yeah. Yeah. When we went there, as I said, we drove 3 weeks through the whole from San Francisco up to the top of Washington State. If we could have sent home for our dogs and said, right, we're staying, we would have done that. We loved it.
And then the week we had in Portland was amazing too.
The week we had in Portland, oh my God, that was so cool. We were just getting the light rail everywhere. We were staying at some place called Goose Hollow or something, I think it was. And we just get the light rail in, bar to bar, sports bar to sports bar to art. There's a fabulous, all these art markets that are on like on a Sunday morning near the bridge. Oh, it was just, we could thought, let's move here now. Just get the dogs, send them over and we'll just stay.
That's what I grew up. That's what I grew up.
Sorry?
I grew up there. So like I grew up riding Max and going to Saturday market, down by the water and all that stuff.
Oh,
for me too.
nice.
How much you loved it.
We love it. We love it so much. The
only thing we didn't do there was voodoo donuts.
Voodoo donuts.
I wouldn't line up for an hour for a donut.
I said I'd go and line up for him, but the queue was about 2 kilometers long.
Yeah.
To get it voodoo. We saw purple boxes everywhere, so clearly people were queuing up for. I said, I'll go and queue up for you, baby. I'll do it so you can have your voodoo donuts. But he said, no, I'm not queuing up for 2 hours for anything. But
not for a donut.
Not for a donut. So we went but there was plenty of street food at those markets. We made sure we indulged quite a bit. So yeah. But we've never been to a part of the United States we haven't loved. It's all so different. Like I said, last year I got to see the bridges of Madison County, the
covered bridges.
And that was only happened because of COVID, because the trip that we had gone up to Wisconsin after market with our friends Teresa and Brian from Needlebling and spent a heap of time up there. And then the trip that we had planned to come down, we had to come down quicker than expected because COVID was just starting to explode and the Prime Minister was calling Australians home. And so our trip was cut short by about a week. But because we had to go straight down there, we tend to avoid highways and stuff. We like to get off the beaten track and go to little towns and stuff. But we were on that big expressway we called in Saw Paulette in Nebraska, and then after that it was just straight down. And we just before we got to her, we saw these little signs with these bridge things. We thought, well, we've got to get petrol and go get some lunch. We'll go to Winterset, this place called Winterset. Didn't know what that was. And it turned out, I don't know why, I didn't know they were in Iowa. And we ended up in Winterset where all the covered bridges are. And we had the whole day going from bridge to bridge. Oh, I met Marion Fons from Fons and Porter, who was a quilter in the quilt museum. That was a little bit of an out-of-body experience because I'd been making her quilts for years. I was just like, that's how you might like to meet Marion. It was like Marion Fons. I was like, what? I get to see bridges in the day. We get to go to a beautiful quilt shop and quilt museum, have a great lunch, all because we couldn't come down the way we normally were going to. Ironically enough, we were going to have lunch with Barb from Blackbird Designs on our way down, and we couldn't meet her because of the whole lockdowns, which is sad when I think back now. But she kindly said, look, when you're coming through, we'll go out to lunch. And we had to ring her and say, look, we can't. And she wasn't comfortable going out either because everything was just going crazy so quickly. But, again, it's like we often, if we don't get to do the things we plan, sometimes the alternate thing that life throws at you is even better. So like when we got to Dallas, me and my kind of love of all kind of disaster-y things, which is a bit weird, have been fascinated with the JFK shooting all my life. Oh, and when we get to Dallas, because I always do the driving in the States, Dallas is a scary city to drive around. But because we got there last year, it was empty. So empty. You swear the Walking Dead were going to come down the roads. There was just nothing. So we went to the Dealey Plaza and we just sat on the grassy knoll there with nobody around. It's really quite reverent, wasn't it? And we got to just It was just all silent, and we just got to take it all in. Now, if we'd seen that on a tourist trip or something, it would have been busy, and and instead we got to kind of pay respects and so, and that's something we could never have done had COVID not have hit. So you got to make lemonade when you get lemons, kind of thing. So those are two things we would never have done had COVID not hit. So you got to look at the bright side, don't you, baby?
Yeah,
we're raving on, Becky. You can tell we haven't had human contact for months, because I tend to rabbit off when I'm
No,
and I've just had Brendan to talk to. That
no, I'm enjoying this so much. Just hearing you guys talk of your adventures and everything is amazing. So we're gonna get back into stitching a little bit and just ask what can you not do without for your stitching, like your favorite go-to must-have besides the basics, of course.
For me to be I'm addicted to project bags. I don't know if that counts as a thing, but project bags, 100%. I can't get enough of them. I've got people sending them to me. I've got friends making them. I'm making them myself. I want a project bag with a theme for every project. So what would yours be? Needle minders?
Yeah, I love needle minders and my beautiful scissors as well.
Oh, yeah. Bren's a scissor collector.
Nice.
He's got his have you seen what is his name? The French, I can never pronounce, Roulet or something. Roulet or something. He makes the beautiful handmade scissors. I got them for Bren's birthday. He's wanted a pair because he collects scissors. He wanted a pair for as long as I've known him. Well, for as long as he's known they existed anyway. And my thought is too, the gentleman's in his 80s now. So they're his new.
Oh my gosh. And that case too is really pretty.
Yeah.
They're divine.
Yeah, they're beautiful handmade.
Yeah. Look at that. Wow. So intricate. I've never seen them, up close basically.
I know. They really are
amazing. Amazing where he carves the wooden cases specifically for each pair of scissors he makes.
That's impressive.
Wow.
So how do you decide on what you're going to work on next?
How do you decide, Brendan?
Yeah. I start things and don't tend to finish them.
He's just getting better at that, though.
There's a theme running through this, isn't there?
Yeah.
So, something new and shiny catches my eye and I start to stitch it.
He's getting better, though. That mermaid will be finished pretty soon.
Yeah, the only reason it's not finished now is
because of Expo.
It's because I've been dyeing all this fabric.
Yeah.
But it'll probably be finished probably next week. And I've got about 4 other things that I've picked based on that, and it's just something that catches my eye. So something unique in the design. So
you like all the gothic-y type.
Yeah,
that's why the cryptid sale I think he'll do, because it's one a month.
Yeah, and I bought a few other of the Witchy Stitches patterns.
Oh yes, he's been living on Witchy Stitcher, and what's the other one?
Because I really like her designs; they're amazing.
Oh, there's another one you've been living on too. I keep seeing them piling up over there. Oh, look, the best thing ever is PDFs when you're living in Australia and you see it and you have to have it now. But yeah, you've been living on Witchy Stitcher. He got a nice shipment from there the other day. There's a blood-soaked piece of linen or something, Dracula's blood or something. Dracula's wallpaper.
Yeah.
So a nice big package come from the Witchy Stitcher. But I think the cryptid sale will be good. I think Brent will be good for things like stitch-alongs where they release one a month. That way he can just do it, finish it, and be on to something else, and that'll suit him down the ground, I think. So, and the good thing is with the exception of the frame, that's starting after Expo, so it's good timing. But for me, so that's basically, you basically just
whatever catches
your eye.
Yeah,
I'm a chronic starter of things as well. The difference is I will finish things, but I'm just finding. I used to be just a monogamous stitcher. I used to just start something and finish it way back in the day. And I can never understand people who had more than one thing. Oh, I can't even believe I'm saying it. More than one thing on the go at once. But now particularly since Flosstube started, I think, and I just, I'll be sitting there and I think I've got my month's rotation worked out. And then, you might show something and I think, oh, I've got to have that. I'm downloading it. I'm kitting it. Thankfully, we've got a shop so I can go out there and kit the thing immediately. I'm so annoyed if I'm missing a thread, even though I've got a shop, and I'm like, what? So for me, though, I tend to rotate stitch a lot. But once a project gets about halfway through, I tend to then finish it. So I'll put everything else aside. I don't know what that's been. I've always been like that. Once I started doing more than one project at once, I get about halfway and then complete it. I don't know I don't know whether I can just smell the finish in the air. I don't know, but I'll just sit down. I might stitch it day and night until it's done. Wow. But for me lately, it's a funny thing with model stitching. I'm happy sending off our samplers and stuff because I'm pretty sure I know how they're going to turn out. For my designs, I do prefer, if I can, to stitch them myself because I just make changes on the fly. So if I've got a model stitch something, what our plans are after Expo, once things all settle down, is that we'll just design and dye during the day in a normal work day. That will also include stitching models of our own stuff. And then come 5 o'clock, I just want to put that down. Brendan will come inside and we'll just stitch other people's things at night. That's what my plan is because I just love stitching other things that I love. And my tastes are very varied, but Flosstube just sends me down rabbit holes left, right, and center.
Very nice.
I see it's finished on Flosstube. Like I really love Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain by Kathy Barrick. And it's sitting in there, and I'm just desperate to start that one too. And I've got a million blackbirds on the go. But I'm doing it. I'm doing a sale at the moment with some friends in the States, and Paulette's been setting the assignments every week. And I've been a bit behind because we've had Expo to get ready for. But I like it when someone says, "Okay, this week we're stitching the tree on the left, the house, and the little rosebud or something," and then I can do that, put it aside. Then the week's assignment comes out. So I stitch well that way. And we're going to start a blackbird as soon. And the one that we've been doing is Carol and Amelia Trail by With a Needle and Thread. So that'll be finished second week of September, and then we're going to start a blackbird. So I like stitching that way too. I like having little assignments to do because then I think, good, I'm up with the girls and I'll put it aside.
You don't get in trouble from the teacher.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to get in trouble from my teacher's my best friend, so I'm like, I don't want to get in trouble. So I was like, yeah, no, but we're all fine. We're all chatting via Instagram in a little group and stuff, and it's really inspiring, and that's really good fun. So yeah, that's how I stitch.
That's what I love about like stitch alongs, when one of us Flosstubers or something starts a hashtag and then everybody joins in and it brings the together when you have other people stitching the piece along with you and you chat and you make friends. And
100%.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to stitch alongs. That'll be my thing, I know, going forward. You asked me to do a stitch along with you, I'm absolutely there. I just love them. Yeah. So you know what? I don't think it matters how many. In actual fact, we got sent 2 which we'll wear them on our Flosstube on Sunday. We just got sent 2 fabulous T-shirts, well, 4 actually, but from a lady who's designing T-shirts for stitches and stuff. They're fabulous. So we'll show you on Sunday. But it's funny how people know you. Mine's basically along the lines of having a million starts and no finishes, basically. And I think yours was king of the. We've got one stitch at a time. I can't remember what it is.
We've got King and Queen of
We've got King and Queen of Cross Stitch was one of them, but the other one was basically, I thought, wow, people have looked at us, this lady has looked at us enough to know which ones basically suit us. Well, mine was basically about having a million things on the go at once, and Brendan's was, I can't remember. You'll see them on Sunday. We'll see them the day this airs probably, so we'll be wearing those. That was a lovely surprise in the mail. Always weird when people send you something. So that was just out of the blue kind thing to send, wasn't it, Brett?
Mm.
So yeah, we just received a full set of cottage. I don't know whether you guys have seen them over there. Cottage Garden Threads is an Australian thread designer, and we just got the complete set of like 500 something colours. Becca, you should see them. But so we'll be designing with those. But what we'll be doing is she's sort of going to give us the opportunity to sort of wholesale them as well. So if I release a chart that's using them, so the American stores won't not have access to them, they can actually wholesale off as the pack that goes with them. So if they want to buy 50 charts, they can buy 50 thread packs as well. And they're just divine. So we'll be using those a bit. I don't know how I got onto that, but it just reminded me, I was thinking of stitching mail coming, and that just surprised us in the mail. It was like, what is this? And we just opened it, and it was like,
they didn't come to you.
Brendan said they're his.
I've already hidden them.
Oh, did you? until you take.
Squirreled away behind Bigfoot in his office there.
She'll never find them.
Yeah. I said, yeah, we'll see. We'll
Maybe
see who does
your frame too.
that millennium frame. I've squirreled that away. I don't think he
Maybe
even
I'll
knows what that
swap.
is.
I'll swap a box.
What, for a millennium frame?
And stuff.
That was very kind of cottage garden thread. So a big shout out to Katie. It's like,
They're
wow.
beautiful.
So
Yeah, they're most beautiful threads.
and we're hoping, like, I mean, if enough people start using them, especially here, I think she's hoping eventually to gear up to eventually launch in the United States as well. I think she wants to do it step at a time because it's very big here, huge here. She's got a massive business. So, but you know, if she can get it into designers' hands in the States and into distributors there, well, then, you know, because I think everyone's always looking for divine threads, fabrics, everything these days. I just got Ruskin's Penguins by Modern Folk Embroidery, but
Leo and Roxy.
yeah, the Leo and Roxy thread. Oh my gosh. I haven't started yet because I'm doing that again next week, but what a beautiful filling thread that is. Oh my goodness. So yeah, that was exciting. That black is a perfect black. I'd like to design with that black, but I don't know if they wholesale their threads or not.
Yeah, I don't know, but I need to get my hands on that too. I've seen it everywhere. So
Oh, it's beautiful. And so I love penguins. So it's a no-brainer for me.
that's my youngest daughter. I don't know if you could see penguin. I have a penguin tattoo. It's hard to see on
Oh my goodness.
favorite.
Oh, I love it. Do you know what? When I was born, my Auntie June knitted me a penguin.
Oh.
Now I have that I slept with that thing until I was married. I carried that. That thing has been all over the world with me when my mum and dad and I went to Europe and America when I was like 12, 13.
It's a ratty looking thing.
It's my auntie has now donned it more time, more of it in new wool that exists of the original wool.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I've been obsessed with penguins my entire life. And when we went over to South Australia, we went out to a place called Granite Island, and they have a little penguin. They rescue the penguins. This is sort of down the bottom of South Australia. And when we were there, we were the only ones there. And we were talking to the lady. She's holding some of the penguins and showing us. And then I was just like, couldn't believe I was that close to an actual little fairy penguin. And then she said, look, there's nobody else here. Would you like to hold it? Which they never do. They never do. And I said, I thought I was going to
probably get this lady in trouble for that. This, you know,
I hardly think somebody in South Australia is going to be. But I nearly peed my pants, excuse the expression. Brenda was just, I said, get outside. I'm holding a penguin. So it was amazing. And I love them so much. And obviously they don't encourage holding penguins and stuff like that. Because, you know, obviously, but it was a place where where there's this one little penguin that I was just obsessed with, and that was the one she picked up because he just had a different character, and he'd had a rough life with seals and everything, being hurt, and he was so full of personality, this little penguin. And to be holding him, Becca, I was just like, so when that Ruskin's Penguins thing, I think the expression, the writing on it, something, you can't help but smile when you see a penguin or something. I thought, well, that is 100% me. So that had to be here immediately. So, and I got the floss as well. So that one, you'll see that one. I want to stitch that one pretty quickly. I want to get that one finished.
That's a cute earlier.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Your tattoo. I need a penguin tat. I've got a dragonfly, but that's all.
You can't show where it is, but
no. It's expanded a little bit over the years, but yeah, we are. Brendan's got a dragon.
That's so neat. Yeah. Well, hopefully someday you'll get a penguin tattoo. That'll be cool.
Yes. That's a cool one.
So we are down to the last question, and this has been so much fun. This has been a blast.
I hope I haven't talked too much. I talked too much.
I think everybody's gonna enjoy it, and they're gonna have so much fun. But this question is one of my most favorites, and it's, what's the best thing that has happened to you within the past couple of years?
Oh, starting Fox and Rabbit.
Yeah, for us, it's been Fox and Rabbit. It's
having Bren work full time with me has been our dream, which we never thought we could do. Don't you think?
Yeah, I thought I was going to be stuck doing IT for the rest of my life, which, it pays well, but it's the most mind-numbing, boring job in the world. And we've been lucky. We've had, as I said before, we've had some support from some really, really, really good friends, and they've helped us get our dream up and running, which is getting this business going.
Yeah,
amazing.
We always hope to be able to work together, but financially, realistically, it was probably not going to happen with just the shop. And to be able to, and poor Bren needed that push out the door, because it's a scary thing. Like, it was scary for me when I left my career to do the shop full time, when it was just online back in those early days of the internet, but it was 100% the right thing. And but when we've still got the shop, but Bren had the regular income, it's like with retail, you don't know from one day to the next. Like, it's been crazy busy, but to leave that kind of security blanket of a full-time job that you knew was coming in was really frightening for him. But he had worked so hard for us for all these years so my dream could happen. It would kill me just seeing him working such long hours, unhappy doing the job he was doing, as good as he is at it. And he really is very bright. He is very, like, people say, but he's so good at I said, yeah, but he hates it. It doesn't matter how good he is at it. It doesn't matter how smart he is. And I used to just see him working so hard for us, or for me. I just wanted him to be able to do it too. And, he'd come over to Nashville and help me and things like that. And now to be able to do it together, so he's living his dream with me, it's been by far the best thing. And as I said, special thank you to Tanya for helping me push him out the door, because he said at the end of January, can you believe he was even saying, maybe March, maybe April, maybe May, that maybe we do both, and I still have the income coming in, but and I said, you can't do both. You can't be working full time. And so Tanya finally gave him the final reassurance that she knew it'd all be okay, which,
she gave me the talking
she videoed him one day and said, what are you even thinking about? Get out and do it now. So he did. And he said at the end of January, I can't believe I was thinking about doing this in April. We are so slammed. And I said, I told you. But, it's a scary leap of faith. But, yeah, that's been by far the best thing. It's just, like, obviously COVID's been challenging.
Yeah.
Just little things, like I've got to do all the surging and all the cutting. That put us back with our shop orders, because it's just been me, because we can't drop it off to friends who help us. But it's been a challenging year this year, but 100% the best thing we've done. And hopefully we can continue to do it forever, and eventually hopefully move overseas, and we're looking at moving to the States eventually. Don't know where we've got to try to pick a state. Brendan likes the idea of Arizona because it's dry and he can die in dry weather.
Yeah, but
I like the Pacific Northwest because I love the rain. So, but he said we can't live anywhere, because I'm a what do they call, a pluviophile. I'm so happy when it's raining. Brennan's a sun lover. So he said, yeah, but we can't move to a rainy state because I can't die. I thought, all right, I guess it might be Arizona then. If you ask Tanya, she says it's got to be Arizona. We've set our business up over there and stuff, so we're working towards that. Ultimately, yeah, we hope it'd be great, but that's the ultimate plan. As much as we love Australia, someone said, but what about Australia? I said, Australia's not going anywhere. We'll keep our house here. It just means we want to just try our hand at things overseas and live in the Northern Hemisphere for a few years. Have a cold Christmas rather than a hot one.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Sorry?
I said, I don't know about in Arizona having a cold Christmas, but
well, this is my point. You're just exactly right. I want 4 seasons. I don't want hot and hotter.
Yeah. No.
Well, Tanya keeps telling me there's mountains nearby that snow. So
yeah.
I don't know about that, but anyway.
It snowed when we were there the other year.
But Brendan also likes to be near New Mexico, because we visited Roswell when we were there last year. So he likes to be near where all the aliens are as well. So
yeah, that would be cool too. Yeah. Well, that's exciting for you guys, though. I'm sure you guys are not going anywhere. Like I said, our community is just growing. It's not shrinking. So I think needlework and cross stitch and everything like that's going to be around forever. So
100% agree.
I hope so.
Well, yeah. I think so too, and I it's encouraging because so many young people are stitching now too, Becca. Like, I mean, every age group's stitching now. It's not some old-fashioned thing anymore. And there's so many, they're not things that I necessarily want to stitch, but so many different designs to appeal to so many different tastes now. Everything down 12-year-olds are stitching to 90-year-olds are stitching, and there's something for everyone. Once upon a time, I think it was very genre kind of related. Everyone was stitching kind of farmhouses and whatever, but now it's everything. Everything out there.
Think of is out there in a cross stitch pattern, 100%. From
snarky, I like it with quilting too.
Yeah, I said from like snarky stitching all the way up to reproduction samplers and anything in between. So yeah,
yeah. It's the same with quilting. I personally love reproduction fabrics and making lots of applique quilts. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to make a modern contemporary fabric quilt. We visited the Stitching Post in Sisters, Oregon when we were over there. And they used to be, when I used to send them in the magazines, they used to be all kind of country fabrics and whatever. That shop is now completely modern. Same owners, but completely modern, And now I would have thought that shop wouldn't appeal to me, but I walked in and thought, oh my God, this is beautiful. I need to make a modern quilt, So even though you think you know what you like, there's always something else that grabs your eye and you go down that rabbit hole. So yeah, so and I just hope Flosstube continues to grow and more people do it. We're trying to encourage friends to do it, and they're like, well, I don't know. I said, well, if Brennan and I can have a go.
Also encouraging friends to try and do it too. I think our community will continue to grow if we can bring in new people to keep the community growing. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that is the end of the interview. That was an absolute blast. Loved learning more about you guys. I just love sitting here and chatting. It wasn't even like an interview, really. It was so much fun. Thank you for taking time out of the day. Yeah,
we're thrilled that you even wanted to interview us. When I thought,
no, I was excited because Colleen from Stitching with the Sisterlies was like, "All right, I'm reaching out to them, and you're going to do this." And I was like, "Okay," because I already wanted to. And she was like, "Well, it's done," and they said, "Okay," and I was like, "All right, I'll just email."
I was just thrilled to get a message from her. I'm like, I don't know if you know me. I actually do. I'm like, do I know you? I watch you all the time. Of course I know who you are. What on earth do you want to talk to me about? And she said, would you be interested? I'm like, of course I watch all of Becca's interviews. Are you kidding me? I watched Noah's the other day and everyone, I said, oh my God. I said, yeah, but she might not want to interview us. I said to Brendan, I don't think she's going to want to interview us. And then, so we were thrilled.
Well, this has been amazing. It's been so much fun. I think everybody's going to enjoy this so much, just learning so much more about you both, and getting to see the puppy was even a bonus. So.
Just laying over there in the sun asleep, thankfully. Oh my Lord!
I haven't heard from her for a little while. I'm a bit worried.
I'm watching. She's over there in the sun asleep. So
a minute ago, she was actually hanging from the Venetian
blinds. I thought Brent's going to have to go there in a minute.
Jeez.
Because we lost our whippet. It was my kind of dog, and which is still very hard for me. And Brennan came in about 4 weeks ago and said, there's a puppy and she's from the same breeder as Peaches. Aww. And she's a joy. She is a joy, but that puppy stage, Becca, I didn't think I'd ever have to go through the puppy stage. It's just, I'm one of those people. I'll be happy. It's nice that she's a puppy, but I'm now ready for her to be 6 months old. So, so you know what? I'm like, oh my Lord. But she's fancy getting a puppy 2 weeks before Expo, Becca. That was real smart. Yeah. So anyway.
What's going on, and then just add a puppy, kind of potty and all that.
Exactly. As I said, you take these gifts when they're offered to you. So it's like, we'll just make it work. It would have been nice if it was September, but she can't help when she was born. So bless her. So you will see her grow on the coming Flosstubes to a sensible young lady, hopefully.
I'm sure she will be. Not swinging from,
the blinds. Yeah, that's the new thing. Every day it's a new thing. It's like, what is she doing? She's hanging from the blind by her teeth.
Discovery. It's always fun. But
discovery in lockdown, even bigger fun.
Yeah. That is true.
Take it for a walk.
Thank you both so very much.
Thank you so much. It's been so much fun.
It's been fun.
Now we'll start our day.
Yep. And we'll say bye to everybody on Flosstube.
Thank you. We'll see you all. Thanks so much, Becca. Have a good night.